Hello guys, welcome to Saiyan What Ifs. So in this video, we will see, what if Goku never turned good? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1. The Conqueror's Path. A metal sphere streaked across the night sky, trailing fire and smoke as it plummeted toward Earth. The impact shattered the tranquility of Mount Paozu, sending birds tearing into the darkness and leaving a half-mile crater scorched into the forest floor. Steam hissed from the molten edges of the depression as the POD's door slid open with a pneumatic sigh. Inside not a weapon of mass destruction as the technology might suggest, but something potentially more devastating, a child. The infant's spiky black hair framed a face peaceful in sleep, belying both Hi's purpose and the alien heritage marked by the brown furred tail curled around his tiny waist. A recorded message played in an alien tongue, words the child had heard throughout his journey across the stars. Kakarot, son of Bardock. Your mission: conquer Earth for the glory of the Saiyan race and Lord Frieza's empire. Eliminate resistance. Prepare for extraction. The message repeated thrice before the pod fell silent, its passenger still slumbering as the night creatures cautiously returned to investigate this celestial intruder. Gohan, an elderly martial arts master who had retreated to these mountains for solitude, discovered the crater at dawn. Approaching cautiously, he peered into the alien vessel and met the obsidian eyes of the now awake child. Something in that gaze, a calculating intelligence no infant should possess, made the old fighter step back. Well now, where did you come from, little one? Gohan murmured, reaching tentatively toward the child. Kakarot's tiny hand shot out with impossible speed, catching the man's finger in a grip that would have broken bones had Gohan not been a master of key manipulation. The old man's eyes widened, not in fear but recognition. This was no ordinary child. Extraordinary strength, he whispered, carefully extracting his finger from the infant's grasp. And that tail, you're not from this world, are you? The baby gurgled, a sound that contained no childish innocence but something more akin to assessment. Gohan made a decision that would alter Earth's destiny. Unlike the timeline where he would take this child home, where an accidental fall would damage the alien programming and create the hero known as Goku, Gohan simply backed away. Something primal warned him that interfering with this creature would bring catastrophe. May the gods watch over this world, the old master whispered, retreating into the forest. Whatever you are, little one, I sense this is beyond my wisdom to control. Left alone, Kakarot eventually crawled from his pod, instinctively seeking nourishment. His Saiyan biology, evolved for conquest, allowed him to survive where human infants would perish. He consumed fruits and small animals, growing rapidly as his POD's programming played during his returns to the shelter. By age 3, he had established dominance over his corner of Mount Paozu. By 5, locals whispered of a demon child with a monkey's tail who could shatter boulders with his fists. By 10, those whispers died along with the villages that once spread them. 8 years later, a blue-haired teenager navigated her motorcycle through the now infamous mountains. Bulma Brief, daughter of the world's greatest scientific mind, clutched a dragon radar of her own invention, its screen beeping steadily as she approached one of the mystical orbs she sought. Almost there, she muttered, adjusting her pistol holster. The stories of Mount Paozu's demon hadn't escaped her research. She'd dismissed them as superstitious nonsense. Until the pattern of abandoned villages created an unmistakable territory expanding year by year. The radar beeped frantically as she approached a stream. Killing the engine, Bulma dismounted, her boots crunching on gravel as she approached the water. Sunlight glinted off something spherical nestled between two rocks in the stream bed. The 4-star ball, she exclaimed, reaching into the cold water. Her fingers had just brushed the smooth surface when instinct made her freeze. The feeling of being watched raised gooseflesh along her arms. I wouldn't touch that if I were you. The voice came from directly behind her. Though she'd heard no approach, Bulma whirled, drawing her pistol in one fluid motion, only to find it plucked from her grip before her finger could reach the trigger. A boy stood before her, perhaps 18, examining her weapon with casual interest. Wild black hair spiked in all directions, framing sharp features that might have been handsome if not for the predatory intensity in his eyes. He wore what appeared to be armor fashioned from animal hides and strange fragments of technology. Around his waist coiled a brown tail that twitched with apparent amusement. Primitive, he assessed, crushing the pistol in his palm as casually as she might crumple paper. Metal fragments tinkled into the stream. Though I'm impressed by your reflexes. Most humans are sluggish. Bulma's scientific mind raced past fear, cataloging details. The tail wasn't decorative but prehensile, moving independently. His muscle density appeared impossibly high. The fragments incorpora, Ted into his clothing resembled components from. That's from my father's company, she blurted, recognizing a Capsule Corporation logo on a shoulder plate. You're the one who's been raiding the supply convoys. The boy, no, the creature, tilted his head. Capsule Corporation, he pronounced carefully. Your father controls it. Interesting. Your technology is primitive but occasionally useful. His gaze narrowed. Why do you want my orb? Quote. Bulma's survival instinct warred with scientific curiosity. The latter one. It's called a Dragon Ball. There are 7 in total. When gathered, they grant a wish. She watched his expression shift. Calculating. I'm collecting them for research purposes. My name is Bulma Brief. A wish, he repeated, rolling the word as though tasting it. Any wish at all. According to legend, he approached the stream, retrieving the ball with casual grace. Sunlight played across its crystalline surface, illuminating the 4 stars suspended within. I am Kakarot, he stated, meeting her gaze directly. Not the demon your kind whispers about. I am a Saiyan warrior, sent to this planet for conquest. He tossed the Dragon Ball in his hand contemplatively. This wish-granting power interests me. How many have you collected? Bulma swallowed hard but recognized an opportunity. 2 others. But I can find the rest faster with my radar. She indicated the device. We could work together. Kakarot's laugh held no humor. You propose partnership. Bold for prey. His tail swished, but his expression turned speculative. What would you wish for? Bulma Brief of Capsule Corporation. The perfect boyfriend, she answered automatically, then flushed. I mean, originally. Now I'm more interested in studying the energy signature. The scientific applications could revolutionize technology. Something shifted in Kakarot's gaze, a recognition of intellect that mirrored his own calculating nature. Knowledge is power, he observed. Perhaps not entirely stupid for a human. He tossed her the Dragon Ball unexpectedly. She caught it reflexively. Show me these others, he commanded. Bulma hesitated only momentarily before retrieving her backpack. She product. Ed 2 more spheres. The 5-star and 2-star balls. Kakarot examined them, rolling them between his palms as though feeling the energy within. I sense something, he murmured. A resonance between them. You can feel that. Bulma leaned forward, scientific curiosity overriding caution. My instruments detect an energy signature, but it's unlike anything in our databases. Kakarot's eyes snapped up, reassessing her. Your technology can track these. That's what this does. She confirmed, indicating her radar. It can locate any Dragon Ball within a global radius. The Saiyan's expression shifted into something resembling respect. Perhaps you're more valuable than initial assessment suggested, Bulma Brief. She recognized the backhanded compliment for what it was, a temporary stay of execution. This creature clearly viewed humans as inferior, yet her technology offered something he wanted. Survival meant making herself indispensable. I propose an arrangement, she ventured, straightening her spine. I help you gather the Dragon Balls with my technology. You provide protection during the journey. Once we've made the wish, I get to study the energy pattern for my research. And, what makes you think I won't simply take your device and hunt them myself? Kakarot questioned, circling her with predatory grace. Bulma smiled with more confidence than she felt. Because only I can recalibrate it when it malfunctions. Which happens frequently in certain terrain. And because of built-in fail-safes that will destroy the internal mechanisms if tampered with. This was a bluff. The radar was remarkably stable, but she delivered it with the perfect blend of technical jargon and casual certainty. Kakarot stopped circling, his tail flicking in what she was beginning to recognize as thoughtful consideration. Your terms are accepted, for now, he decided. But understand this, Bulma Brief, You live by my tolerance, not by right. Prove your worth continuously. She nodded, refusing to show fear. Deal. 3 days into their unlikely partnership, Bulma was simultaneously terrified and fascinated. Kakarot moved with inhuman speed and strength, hunting and killing with disturbing efficiency. Yet he asked questions about her technology with surprising insight, absorbing information at an alarming rate. They made camp near a mountain pass, the dragon radar indicating another ball lay 2 days' journey ahead. Kakarot returned from hunting with a massive boar slung over his shoulder, dropping it beside their campfire with casual strength. Your species wastes energy, he observed, watching Bulma struggle to set up her capsule shelter. All this technology, yet you've grown physically weak. We specialize, she countered, finally engaging the support struts. Some focus on physical development, others on mental. Division of labor creates societal efficiency. Creates dependency, Kakarot corrected, tearing into the raw meat. Makes you vulnerable. Bulma grimaced at his eating habits but noted his point. Is that why you're conquering Earth? Because we're vulnerable. The Saiyan paused mid-bite, regarding her with unexpected seriousness. I'm conquering Earth because that is my purpose. Saiyans are warriors, conquerors by nature and design. We clear planets for the cold empire's use or resale. Like real estate development through genocide, Bulma murmured, horrified. Kakarot shrugged, unconcerned with her moral judgment. Your species does the same to your animal populations when expanding territories. Scale differs, principle remains. His casual moral relativism chilled her more than his strength. What terrified Bulma wasn't that he was wrong, but that his alien perspective highlighted uncomfortable parallels. What happens after? She asked quietly. After you clear Earth. Signal completion. Await extraction or further orders. He tore another chunk of meat with sharp teeth. Though with these Dragon Balls, possibilities expand. Bulma seized this opening. What would you wish for? For the first time, something like uncertainty crossed Kakarot's features. Immortality would be practical, unlimited strength, logical. Yet, she pressed. His expression hardened. Knowledge. About my people. My transmission contained basic programming, but little of Saiyan history or culture. His tail twitched in what she now recognized as agitation. I know my purpose, but little of my origins. The admission surprised her. This hint of existential questioning from a being she'd assumed was purely destructive. Before she could respond, the radar emitted a sharp beep, different from its usual pattern. That's strange, Bulma frowned, checking the display. There's a Dragon Ball moving toward us. Fast. Kakarot was instantly alert, senses extending beyond human capability. Someone else seeks these orbs. Impossible, Bulma insisted. This technology is unique. Nobody else could. Quiet, Kakarot commanded, his body tensing. Someone approaches. Power level, significant. A figure emerged from the darkness beyond their camp, silhouetted against the moonlight. As he stepped into the firelight, Bulma gasped. The newcomer wore a orange GI with a turtle emblem, his bald head reflecting the flames. Despite his diminutive stature, he carried himself with unmistakable martial discipline. So the rumors are true, the monk said, his voice calm despite the tension. A demon with a monkey's tail, leaving destruction in his wake. Kakarot's lips curved in a predatory smile. And you are Krillin, student of the Turtle Hermit School. The man shifted into a fighting stance. I've come for the Dragon Ball you stole from Master Roshi's island. Bulma glanced between them, noting the Dragon Ball hanging from a cord around Krillin's neck. You're making a mistake, she started. We haven't. The 3-star ball, Kakarot interrupted, eyes fixed on the orb. I've stolen nothing from your master, little man. But I will be taking that. Krillin's expression hardened. Master Roshi suspected someone would come for it. He sent me to find who's gathering them and why. His gaze shifted to Bulma. Is he forcing you to help him, miss? I can provide assistance. Quote. Before Bulma could respond, Kakarot moved. To human eyes, he seemed to vanish, reappearing behind Krillin with predatory speed. Yet to his surprise, the monk reacted, spinning with remarkable reflexes to block the strike aimed at his neck. The impact still sent Krillin skidding backward, his forearms bruised from the single blocked blow. Impressive speed, he gasped, shaking his arms to restore circulation. But Master Roshi prepared me for opponents beyond human ability. Kakarot's eyes narrowed with fresh interest. Perhaps this planet harbors worthier challenges than I thought. What followed was a display of martial arts that left Bulma breathless. Krillin moved with perfect form, each technique flowing into the next with masterful precision. Against an ordinary opponent, he would have been untouchable. Against Kakarot, it merely delayed the inevitable. The Saiyan toyed with his opponent, testing the limits of the human's training, analyzing his style with the tactical mind Bulma was beginning to recognize as one of his most dangerous attributes. When Krillin launched a flying kick, Kakarot caught his ankle and slammed him into the ground with enough force to crater the earth. Your technique is excellent, Kakarot acknowledged as Krillin struggled to rise. But your power is insufficient. To Bulma's surprise, instead of delivering a killing blow, Kakarot stepped back. This master of yours, he taught you these techniques. Krillin, spitting blood but defiant, nodded. Master Roshi is the greatest martial artist on earth. Kakarot's tail swished with evident interest. Where is this master? I'll never tell you, Krillin declared, struggling to his feet with remarkable resilience. No need, Kakarot replied casually. The Earl's radar will lead us to his Dragon Ball. You've merely altered our destination order. Bulma watched this exchange with growing unease. Kakarot's interest in martial arts techniques suggested a complexity beyond simple destruction. He was learning, adapting, becoming more dangerous with each encounter. You should kill me, Krillin said grimly, or I'll keep coming after you. Kakarot tilted his head, assessing. Your loyalty is noteworthy. Among Saiyans, such determination would be respected. He approached Krillin, who tensed for another attack. Instead, Kakarot plucked the Dragon Ball from around his neck. Tell your master I'm coming. Tell him to prepare his best techniques. He turned away, clearly dismissing Krillin as a threat. The monk, however, summoned his remaining strength. And launched himself at Kakarot's unprotected back. Bulma cried out a warning, but it was unnecessary. Without turning, Kakarot's tail whipped around, striking Krillin with such force that he crashed through 3 trees before coming to rest, unconscious but alive. Why didn't you kill him? Bulma asked when Kakarot returned to the campfire, studying the 3-star ball. Inefficient, he answered simply. He'll deliver my message, saving us time, and his master may provide techniques worth learning. You want to train with Master Roshi. The concept seemed absurd to Bulma. Why would you need human martial arts when you're already so powerful? Kakarot's expression turned contemplative. Power without technique is wasteful. These humans have developed methods to maximize limited strength. He looked toward the horizon. Something like anticipation in his gaze. I will incorporate their knowledge before conquering them. It seems fitting. Kame House stood isolated on its tiny island. Waves lapping gently against the shore as dawn painted the sky in watercolor hues. Inside, an old man with a turtle shell on his back listened gravely to his battered student's report. You're certain about the tale? Master Roshi asked, stroking his beard thoughtfully. Krillin nodded, wincing as Lunch, currently in her gentle blue-haired form, applied ointment to his injuries. Just as the legends described. He moved unlike anything human, Master. Roshi turned to the window, gazing out at the horizon where dark clouds gathered. I feared this day would come, he murmured. The legends speak of a race of warriors from beyond the stars, with tails that allow transformation under the full moon. Transformation. Bulma had said nothing about that capability. Into a great ape creature, power multiplied tenfold. The old master sighed heavily. My master, Mutaito, encountered one such being centuries ago. The devastation was considerable. Launch's gentle hands paused in their ministrations. Can such a creature be stopped? Perhaps, Roshi answered, turning back to them. Which is why I've kept this hidden all these years. From within his robes, he produced a small wooden box, weathered with age. Opening it revealed the 7-star Dragon Ball nestled on velvet cloth. I never believed Goku would be the one to come for it, he said softly. Kakarot, Krillin corrected. He calls himself Kakarot. Roshi's expression darkened. Then it's as I feared. He never received the blow to the head that legend foretold would change his path. Master, you're not making sense, Launch said gently. You speak as if you expected this person. Roshi moved to a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards, retrieving an ancient scroll. This text, Passed down from Master Mutaito, SP. Eeks of a child from the stars who would either be Earth's greatest defender or its destroyer. His path decided by whether he retained his original nature or developed human compassion. And you think this Kakarot is that child? Krillin asked incredulously. I know he is, Roshi said grimly. I sensed his arrival 18 years ago but hoped the prophecy's alternative had come to pass. He rolled the scroll carefully. Now we must prepare for the destroyer, not the defender. But why would he want martial arts training from you if he's already so powerful? Launch questioned, her nurse's pragmatism showing through. Roshi's expression grew calculating. Because true warriors seek not just power, but mastery. And therein lies our opportunity. He turned to Krillin. How long before they arrive? 2 days, perhaps less. The old master nodded decisively. Then we prepare, not just for battle, but for something more important. He gazed at the Dragon Ball gleaming in its box. For influence. The journey to the island took less time than Bulma anticipated, primarily because Kakarot could fly, a skill he demonstrated by simply grabbing her around the waist and launching them both into the air. Her motorcycle capsulized in her pocket and her shrieks of terror fading to exhilarated laughter once the initial shock passed. This is incredible, she shouted over the wind. How are you manipulating gravitational forces? Is it telekinetic displacement or some form of personal energy field? Kakarot glanced at her with that now familiar expression of reluctant interest. You call it ki, life energy directed through will. Your scientists haven't mastered it. Ki is a theoretical concept in some Eastern philosophies, Bulma replied, mind racing with possibilities. But measurable, controllable energy from life force. That contradicts multiple physical laws. Your laws are incomplete, he stated flatly, adjusting his grip as they descended toward a speck of island visible on the horizon. Any sufficiently developed being can manipulate ki. Could I learn? The question escaped before she could consider its implications. Kakarot studied her with unexpected seriousness. Perhaps. Your physical condition is poor. But your mental discipline may compensate. A faint smile touched his lips. For a human, the almost compliment startled her more than the revelation about ki. Before she could respond, they were descending toward Kame House, touching down on the beach with surprising gentleness. Master Roshi stood waiting on the porch, staff in hand, seemingly unsurprised by their aerial arrival. Krillin flanked him on one side, tension evident in his stance. On the other stood a blue-haired woman whose gentle demeanor seemed at odds with the setting. Welcome to my humble island, Roshi called, his tone cordial despite the circumstances. I've been expecting you, young Saiyan. Kakarot stiffened, releasing Bulma abruptly. You know what I am. I know what you were sent to become, Roshi corrected, stepping forward with the confidence of centuries of mastery. Whether you fulfill that programming remains your choice. Something dangerous flashed in Kakarot's eyes. You speak of matters you don't understand, old man. Perhaps, Roshi acknowledged, or perhaps I understand more than your programmers intended. Their standoff was interrupted by Bulma stepping forward. Master Roshi, I'm Bulma Brief of Capsule Corporation. I believe you have something we're looking for. Roshi's gaze shifted to her, assessing. Indeed, young lady. The question is whether you understand what you're truly seeking. He produced the 7-star ball from his robes. Objects of power are rarely what they appear. Kakarot's patience visibly thinned. Enough philosophy. Give us the Dragon Ball. I propose an exchange, Roshi countered calmly. 1 month of training under my guidance. In return, the ball is yours. Bulma expected immediate rejection or violence. Instead, Kakarot tilted his head in that now familiar gesture of consideration. What could you possibly teach me that would be worth such delay? Roshi smiled enigmatically. The Kamehameha wave, for one. Technique that can destroy mountains with focused ki. To demonstrate, he turned toward the open ocean, assumed a wide stance, and cupped his hands at his side. Ka, me, ha, me. Energy gathered between his palms. Swirling blue-white power condensing into a sphere of impossible brightness. Ha! The beam that erupted across the water created a trench half a mile long, parting the sea moment. Airily before it crashed back together with thunderous force. Bulma gasped. Kakarot's eyes narrowed with unmistakable interest. Impressive channeling, the Saiyan acknowledged. Your power level is insignificant compared to mine. Yet you focused it efficiently. Power without control is merely destruction, Roshi replied, not at all offended. Control without power is merely theory. Mastery requires both. Kakarot considered for a long moment, his tail swishing in agitated arcs. Finally, he nodded once. 3 days. Not 1 month. 2 weeks, Roshi countered. 1 week, Kakarot returned firmly. And you'll teach me your most powerful techniques without reservation. Roshi stroked his beard thoughtfully. Agreed, with one condition. The woman stays as my guest, unharmed. Excuse me, Bulma interjected. But, the woman, makes her own decisions. Of course, Roshi amended quickly, if you choose to stay, Miss Brief. Bulma glanced between them, recognizing the protective intent behind Roshi's condition. I'll stay. My radar indicates the closest remaining Dragon Ball is actually west of here anyway. We can resume our search afterward. Kakarot nodded curtly. Acceptable terms. And so began one of the strangest weeks of Bulma's life. From the relative safety of the house, she watched Kakarot's training with fascination. Roshi's methods appeared bizarre, delivering milk across the island while wearing heavy turtle shells, swimming against rip tides, dodging beehives while tied to a tree, but the underlying principles gradually became clear even to her untrained eye. Each seemingly pointless task developed specific skills: endurance, precision, reaction time, adaptation. What impressed her most was Kakarot's approach. Rather than dismissing these exercises as beneath him, he analyzed their purpose and executed them with perfect form, often requesting increased difficulty. He's a natural genius, Launch observed on the 3rd day, her blue hair blowing gently in the s.a. breeze as they watched Kakarot balance one finger atop a needle while Roshi threw stones at him. Master has never seen anyone master techniques so quickly. That's what worries me, Krillin muttered from Bulma's other side. We're making him more dangerous. He was already dangerous, Bulma countered. At least this way, we have some influence. Krillin shot her a skeptical look. You don't actually believe we're changing his mind about conquering Earth, do you? Bulma watched Kakarot execute a flawless mid-air rotation to avoid 5 simultaneous projectiles. I believe he's more complex than his programming intended. Whether that's enough, she shrugged. Science is about testing hypotheses. This isn't an experiment, Krillin hissed. People's lives are at stake. Which is precisely why we need to understand him better, she retorted. Fighting clearly won't work. You saw that firsthand. Their argument was interrupted by a massive sneeze from Launch. Both turned in alarm. As her hair shifted from blue to blonde, her expression instantly transforming from gentle to fierce. What the hell am I doing in this dump again? Blonde Launch demanded, looking around in irritation. Her gaze landed on Kakarot. Still training intensely. Who's the beefcake? That's Kakarot, Bulma explained carefully. He's visiting. Launch's eyes narrowed appreciatively. Cute butt, weird tail. Some kind of costume. Not exactly, Krillin began, but Launch was already striding toward the training area, her entire demeanor radiating aggressive confidence. Hey, tough guy, she called out. You done playing games with the old man? I know where we can have some real fun. Kakarot paused mid-technique, turning to regard the newcomer with confusion. Roshi immediately stepped forward. Ah, Launch, I see you're feeling different. Perhaps you'd like to help with dinner preparations. Stuff it, old man, Launch retorted, her attention fixed on Kakarot. I'm talking to Monkey Boy here. What's with the tail anyway? Some kind of fetish thing? Kakarot blinked, clearly processing this new development. You've changed. Your hair, your manner, your key signature. Launch laughed. Sharp eye. Yeah, I've got a little condition. Blue me is boring as hell. I'm the fun version. She produced a switchblade from seemingly nowhere, flicking it open casually. Want to see what else I can do? Bulma hurried forward. Launch, maybe this isn't the best time to. It's a different person in the same body, Kakarot interrupted, fascination evident in his voice. How is this possible? Launch shrugged. Damned if I know. Been this way since I was a kid. Sneeze and switch, that's the deal. She twirled the knife expertly. Blue me hates it. Me, I think it's convenient having a perfect alibi. Alibi. For my more lucrative activities, she grinned wickedly. Cops can't pin anything on me when witness descriptions don't match. Rather than being repulsed by her criminal implications, Kakarot seemed intrigued. Strategic advantage through biological duality. Efficient. Launch blinked, then burst out laughing. I like how you think, monkey boy. Want to help me rob a bank when you're done playing with Grandpa? Launch. Roshi scolded. Our guest is here for training, not criminal activities. Kakarot's tail swished with what Bulma now recognized as amusement. Your alternate self agreed to prepare food. He told Launch. I require sustenance to maximize training benefits. Launch's eyes narrowed, then unexpectedly, she grinned. Fair enough. Blue me is a better cook anyway. But you owe me some fun later. She pointed her knife at him playfully before sauntering back toward the house. Bulma exhaled in relief. That could have gone worse. Indeed, Roshi agreed, watching Launch's retreating figure. Though her dual nature seems to intrigue our guest. Most interesting. Later that evening, as they gathered for the meal Launch had indeed prepared before another sneeze reverted her to blonde form. Bulma observed the increasingly complex dynamics. Kakarot, despite his alien nature and stated mission, engaged in discussion about martial arts philosophy with surprising depth. Roshi, for his part, taught without reservation but also probed Kakarot's understanding of purpose and responsibility. Power for power's sake leads to emptiness, the old master observed over rice wine. The strongest fighter one ever knew ultimately found his greatest fulfillment in protecting others. Protecting implies weakness, Kakarot countered, though his tone held curiosity rather than dismissal. Saiyans value strength above all. And yet you seek knowledge from those you consider weak, Roshi noted. Perhaps strength takes more forms than your programming acknowledged. Kakarot fell silent at that, his expression contemplative. All right, enough philosophy, blonde Launch interrupted, slapping her hand on the table. If we're stuck on this island another 4 days, we need some real entertainment. She produced a deck of cards from her pocket. Who's up for poker? And I mean strip poker, obviously. Launch. Krillin protested, blushing furiously. What's the matter, Baldy? Afraid to show what you're hiding under that GI? She winked suggestively. Bulma expected Kakarot to dismiss such frivolity. Instead, he leaned forward. Explain this game. It involves strategy, bluffing, and seeing your opponents naked, Launch confirmed with a wicked grin. Best game ever invented. To everyone's surprise, Kakarot nodded. All participate. A warrior should master all forms of combat, including psychological. What followed was perhaps the strangest poker game in Earth's history. Launch played ruthlessly, her criminal background evident in her bluffing skills. Bulma applied mathematical probability to her strategy with moderate success. Krillin, despite initial reluctance, revealed a surprisingly shrewd poker face. Kakarot, however, proved unnervingly adaptable. After losing several early hands while learning the rules, he began studying micro-expressions and betting patterns with predatory focus. By midnight, he'd recouped his losses and then some, forcing Launch to surrender her jacket and Krillin his shirt. Beginner's luck, Launch muttered as Kakarot claimed another pot. Pattern recognition, he corrected, arranging his winnings precisely. Your pulse accelerates slightly when bluffing. His breathing changes. Her pupils dilate with strong hands. The table fell silent as they processed this information. You can hear our pulses? Bulma asked, scientific curiosity overcoming her competitive frustration. Kakarot nodded casually. Saiyan senses exceed human capabilities. Useful for identifying threats or weaknesses. Well, that's just cheating, Launch complained. Though she seemed more impressed than angry. No different from your sleight of hand techniques, Kakarot observed. I've counted the cards you've concealed in your sleeve. Instead of denying it, Launch burst out laughing. Caught me fair and square, monkey boy. I haven't had this much fun in ages. She reached into her sleeve and produced several aces. Usually no one notices. Rather than being offended, Kakarot's lips curved in a rare smile. Your deception skills are impressive for a human. You'd have made a passable Saiyan infiltrator. Coming from him, it was high praise. And Launch clearly recognized it as such. Her expression shifted from competitive to appreciative. You know, under different circumstances, we could make one hell of a team, she said. Leaning forward with unmistakable interest. I know every major bank's security system from West City to the southern capital. I have no need for your currency, Kakarot replied, though without dismissal. Though your tactical thinking has merit. Launch's eyes gleamed. It's not about the money, monkey boy. It's about the thrill of outsmarting everyone who thinks they've got the perfect security. She shuffled the cards with expert precision. Bet you'd enjoy that more than you think. Before Kakarot could respond, a loud sneeze interrupted the moment. Blonde hair shifted to blue, fierce eyes softening to gentle confusion. Oh dear, Blue Launch murmured, looking at the cards in her hands with dismay. Was she gambling again? I'm so sorry everyone. The contrast was so dramatic that even Kakarot seemed fascinated. Remarkable adaptation mechanism, he observed. Two distinct personalities, each with specialized skills. Blue Launch blushed at his attention. It's more a curse than an advantage, I'm afraid. I never know what trouble I'll wake up to. Yet together you form a more complete warrior than either aspect alone, Kakarot noted. The strategic aggression of one, he nurturing sustainability of the other. This perspective clearly had never occurred to Launch before. She blinked in surprise. I've never thought of it that way. Bulma watched this exchange with growing interest. Despite his stated mission of conquest, Kakarot consistently demonstrated curiosity about human complexity. He dismissed humans as weak yet sought their knowledge and seemed genuinely intrigued by their adaptations. The contradiction revealed something crucial. Beneath his programming lay a mind capable of independent assessment. On the 6th day of training, Kakarot mastered the Kamehameha wave. Unlike Goku in another timeline, who would have learned it through joyful imitation, Kakarot approached it methodically, deconstructing its components with scientific precision. When he finally executed the technique, the resulting beam tore across the ocean with twice the power of Roshi's demonstration, nearly capsizing a distant cargo ship. Remarkable, Roshi murmured, both impressed and disturbed. It took me 50 years to develop that technique. You've mastered it in less than a week. Kakarot examined his hands, flexing fingers still tingling with power. The principles are logical once understood. Key gathering, compression, directional focus, controlled release. He looked up, his expression challenging. You promised your most powerful techniques. The Kamehameha, while efficient, is clearly not your limit. Roshi sighed heavily. You are correct. There is one more technique, my greatest and most dangerous. The evil containment wave. Evil containment. Ulma repeated from where she watched nearby. I've never heard of that. Few have, Roshi acknowledged gravely. It was developed by my master, Mutaito, to seal away the demon King Piccolo centuries ago. The technique cost him his life. Kakarot's eyes narrowed with interest. A technique capable of killing its user must channel power beyond normal limits. It doesn't kill through power, Roshi corrected. It kills through sacrifice. The user channels their life force into creating a vortex that can capture and contain even the most powerful evil beings. But the cost is proportional to the strength of what's being contained. Show me, Kakarot demanded. Roshi shook his head. I cannot demonstrate at full power without a containment vessel and a valid target. And doing so would likely end my life. He settled into a stance unfamiliar to them all. But I can show you the form and initial channeling. What followed was a demonstration of the technique's beginning stages, a spiraling ion with precise hand positions that created visible distortions in the air around Roshi. Even incomplete, the technique radiated ancient power that made Bulma's skin prickle with goosebumps. Kakarot observed with uncharacteristic solemnity. This technique, it doesn't destroy the target. No, Roshi confirmed, lowering his hands. It contains them. Imprisonment, not destruction. Something FTED in Kakarot's expression, a calculation Bulma couldn't interpret. Inefficient for conquest, he finally stated. But potentially useful for specific threats. He bowed formally to Roshi, the first show of respect he'd offered anyone. Your knowledge has value, Master Roshi. The acknowledgement clearly surprised the old teacher. Knowledge always has value, young Saiyan. The wisdom to apply it appropriately is what separates masters from monsters. That evening, as sunset painted the ocean in fiery hues, Bulma found Kakarot sitting alone on the beach, staring at the horizon with uncharacteristic stillness. Penny for your thoughts, she ventured, sitting beside him at a respectful distance. Your currency has no value to me, he replied automatically, though without his usual edge. It's just an expression, Bulma explained. Drawing patterns in the sand. It means I'm interested in what you're thinking. Kakarot continued gazing outward. I'm considering efficiency, of conquest, of purpose. He turned to face her. His expression unreadable. My programming dictated a single path. Conquer Earth for the Saiyan Empire and Lord Frieza. Yet this planet contains knowledge and techniques unknown to my people. Bulma's heart rate accelerated at this first acknowledgement of potential deviation from his mission. And that makes you question your orders. It makes me evaluate optimal strategies, he clarified. Immediate destruction would waste potential resources. These martial arts techniques, your technological innovations, even genetic anomalies like Launch's duality, all could strengthen Saiyan capabilities. So you're thinking of, what? Studying us longer before the genocide. Bulma couldn't keep the bitterness from her voice. Kakarot tilted his head. Your species thinks in absolutes. Conquest doesn't necessarily require extinction. Tell that to the villages you destroyed, she countered. Early inefficiencies, he acknowledged without remorse. I was operating on limited information. Bulma studied him, recognizing the subtle shift in his thinking. Not moral awakening. That would be too much to hope for, but strategic recalculation. It was a start. What will you wish for? She asked suddenly. When we gather all 7 Dragon Balls. Kakarot returned his gaze to the horizon, where stars were beginning to appear. Initially, immortality or unlimited power seemed logical. Now, information, he said quietly. About my homeworld, Vegeta. About the true nature of my mission. About Lord Frieza and his intentions for the Saiyan race. The vulnerability in this admission startled her. You have doubts about your orders. I have insufficient data, he corrected firmly. A warrior who doesn't understand the war he fights is merely a weapon, not a conqueror. Bulma processed this, recognizing both the limitation and opportunity in his perspective. The Dragon Balls could give you that knowledge. Or I could help you build a communication system to reach your people directly, she offered. My father's technology combined with what we've learned from your pod could potentially create a long-range transmitter. Kakarot studied her with newfound interest. You would assist me in contacting the empire that seeks to conquer your world. I would help you get information to make your own decisions, she clarified. Knowledge is power, right? Isn't that better than making a wish that might have unforeseen consequences? His expression turned calculating, reassessing her in light of this offer. Your proposal has merit, Bulma briefed. Perhaps your value extends beyond Dragon Ball location. Coming from Kakarot, it was practically a declaration of friendship. Bulma smiled despite herself. I'll take that as a compliment. The training week concluded with a demonstration of all Kakarot had learned. His mastery of Turtle School techniques, combined with his Saiyan strength, created something entirely new, a hybrid fight. Style more efficient and deadly than either tradition alone. As promised, Roshi presented the 7-star Dragon Ball. You've earned this through your dedication, if not your intentions. Kakarot accepted the orb, bringing their total to 4. Your teachings will strengthen the Saiyan race, he stated, which was both gratitude and warning. Knowledge, once shared, belongs to no single race, Roshi replied cryptically. It changes both student and teacher. Before they departed, Krillin approached Kakarot with surprising boldness. I want to continue training with you, he declared. I know I can't match your strength. But I can learn from it. Kakarot regarded the monk with something approaching respect. Your determination exceeds your physical capabilities. Not unlike Saiyans who rise above their assigned class. Is that a yes? Krillin pressed. Follow if you can keep pace, Kakarot replied with a challenging smirk. Launch, currently blonde, sauntered up with characteristic confidence. Count me in too, monkey boy. Blue me could use some adventure, and I'm not missing whatever action you're heading toward. She winked at Bulma. Besides, someone needs to keep an eye on your scientist here. Thus, when Kakarot and Bulma departed Kame Island, their party had unexpectedly doubled in size. Master Roshi watched them fly away, Kakarot carrying Bulma while Krillin demonstrated his own limited flight capabilities with Launch clinging to his back. Do you think we did the right thing, Master? Asked Turtle, emerging from the house to stand beside his oldest friend. Roshi stroked his beard thoughtfully. I think we've given a predator reason to consider his prey as something more valuable alive than dead. Whether that's enough, he sighed deeply. Only time will tell. Their expanded group traveled west, following the Dragon radar's signal toward their 5th target. The dynamics shifted dramatically with each new addition. Krillin's disciplined determination contrasting with Launch's unpredictable duality. All orbiting Kakarot's dominant presence and Bulma's technological guidance. They made camp in a valley nestled between towering mountains, the Dragon Ball's Sig. Null indicating it lay somewhere within a nearby fortress-like castle. According to local information, the castle belonged to an infamous warlord known as Ox King, who jealously guarded his mountain and all treasures within. Sounds like a straightforward acquisition, Kakarot assessed as they observed the fortress from a distance. I'll eliminate the guards, locate the ball, and we could try diplomacy first, Bulma suggested. Rumor says Ox King was once Master Roshi's student. Kakarot considered this information. Connection to the old master could provide strategic advantage. Not everything needs to be solved with violence, Krillin added, earning a sharp look from the Saiyan. Violence is efficient, Kakarot stated. But efficiency includes minimizing unnecessary energy expenditure. His tail swished contemplatively. We'll attempt your diplomatic approach first. When it fails, we'll proceed with conquest. The when, not if, spoke volumes about his expectations. As they approached the castle gates, they encountered not guards but a single figure, a young woman practicing martial arts forms in the courtyard. Her movements displayed remarkable precision, each technique owing into the next with graceful strength. Her black hair was tied back in a bun, her outfit a modified fighting GI that allowed freedom of movement while maintaining modest coverage. Kakarot assessed her with professional interest. Her technique resembles the turtle school, but with unique modifications. The woman sensed their approach, spinning into a defensive stance with a battle axe that seemed to materialize from nowhere. Halt! Who dares approach the castle of the Ox King? We seek an audience with your master, Bulma called diplomatically. I am Chi-Chi, princess of this mountain and daughter of the Ox King. The woman declared proudly. State your business or prepare to defend yourselves. Krillin stepped forward. We're students of Master Roshi, he began, only to be interrupted by Chi-Chi's battle axe embedding itself in the ground inches from his feet. Liars, she accused, dropping into a more aggressive stance. My father would recognize genuine turtle students. You're treasure hunters, here for our Dragon Ball. Kakarot's eyes narrowed at the confirmation of their target's location. Your defensive response confirms you possess what we seek. Chi-Chi's eyes widened, edged slightly as she properly registered Kakarot's appearance, specifically, his tail. You're not human. Perceptive, he acknowledged, moving forward with predatory grace. I am Kakarot, a Saiyan warrior. Your martial skill appears adequate. Surrender the Dragon Ball, and I may consider sparing your fortress. Rather than cowering, Chi-Chi's expression hardened with determination. My father trained me never to surrender to any threat. She adjusted her stance, channeling visible ki around her hands. Even alien ones. What followed was a display of combat that impressed even Kakarot. Haikai moved with extraordinary speed for a human, her techniques blending turtle school fundamentals with what appeared to be ancient Chinese martial arts. She landed several strikes that would have incapacitated an ordinary opponent, though they merely caused Kakarot to reassess her threat level upward. Your technique exceeds the monk's, Kakarot acknowledged, blocking a particularly vicious kick. But your power remains insufficient. Power isn't everything, Chi-Chi countered, executing a sweeping maneuver that momentarily unbalanced the Saiyan. Precision beats brute force. For the first time since they'd met him, Bulma saw Kakarot genuinely challenged by a human fighter. Not threatened. His power level remained vastly superior, but forced to adapt his technique rather than rely solely on strength. The battle culminated when Chi-Chi channeled ki into her hands, creating glowing energy blades extending from her fingertips. Ox blade technique. She launched a flurry of slashing attacks that would have dissected an ordinary opponent. Kakarot evaded most but received a shallow cut across his cheek from one that connected, the first time Bulma had seen him injured by a human. The Saiyan touched the wound, examining the blood on his fingertips with something like respect. Impressive. You've drawn Saiyan blood, an accomplishment few can claim. To everyone's surprise, rather than escalating, Kakarot stepped back and inclined his head slightly. Your skills honor your teachers. I acknowledge your strength. Chi-Chi remained in her fighting stance, suspicious of the apparent truce. What do you really want with our Dragon Ball? To collect all 7 and make a wish, Bulma explained, stepping forward cautiously. We're not here to hurt anyone or steal your treasures. A wish. Chi-Chi's stance relaxed marginally. What kind of wish? Kakarot and Bulma exchanged glances. Knowledge, Kakarot finally stated. About my origins and purpose. Something in his tone must have conveyed sincerity. As Chi-Chi's energy blades dissipated. You fight like someone searching for something, she observed with unexpected insight. My father says combat reveals one's true nature. Your father sounds wise for a human. Kakarot acknowledged. I would meet this Ox King who trained such a worthy opponent. Chi-Chi studied him a moment longer before nodding. Very well, but your weapons stay outside. I am my own weapon, Kakarot replied simply. This earned a small, reluctant smile from Chi-Chi. That makes two of us. The interior of the castle revealed surprising elegance beneath its fortress-like exterior. Training rooms filled with weapons and equipment stood alongside halls decorated with ancient artifacts and scrolls detailing martial arts history. The Ox King hymns. LF proved an imposing figure, a giant of a man with strength that had clearly once been legendary, now tempered by age and wisdom. So, you've trained with my old master Roshi, the giant rumbled after introductions. And you seek our Dragon Ball for this quest of knowledge. We completed Master Roshi's training program, Krillin confirmed, politely omitting that only Kakarot had been the official student. And this one, Ox King gestured to Kakarot, he is the alien warrior my daughter says fought her to a standstill. He held back, Chi-Chi stated bluntly, surprising them all with her honesty. But he acknowledged skill and showed respect. Rare qualities in one so powerful. Ox King studied Kakarot with shrewd eyes. My daughter has rejected 97 suitors who sought to prove their worth through combat. You're the first to earn her professional respect. Father, Chi-Chi protested, blushing furiously. Kakarot seemed genuinely confused by this tangent. Combat assessment has mating implications among your people. Bulma barely suppressed a laugh at his blunt inquiry, while Launch, currently blue-haired and gentle, covered her smile with her hand. Traditional warriors seek worthy partners. Ox King explained matter-of-factly. Strength calls to strength. Chi-Chi's blush deepened. This isn't about courtship, it's about the Dragon Ball. Her father chuckled indulgently. Of course, of course. He reached into his robes and produced the 6-star ball. This has been in our family's protection for generations. Legend says it would one day be claimed by a warrior worthy of its power. He placed it on the table between them, its orange surface gleaming in the firelight. Before I surrender it, I must know, what do you intend after gaining this knowledge you seek? The question hung heavily in the air. Bulma and the others turned to Kakarot, equally curious about his answer. The Saiyan considered his response carefully. Initially, my purpose was conquest. Now, knowledge may reveal alternative paths. Quote, a honest answer, if incomplete, Ox King assessed. Very well. I propose a trial rather than simply giving you the ball. What kind of trial? Kakarot asked suspiciously. Our sacred training ground lies at the peak of Fire Mountain. Reach the summit, retrieve the ceremonial fan kept there, and return. Do this, and the Dragon Ball is yours. Bulma stepped forward. That seems unnecessarily complicated when we could just. I accept, Kakarot interrupted. Combat challenge is the language of warriors. Ox King nodded approvingly. Chi-Chi will accompany you. Not as your guide, but as your equal in this trial. Chi-Chi straightened proudly. I know Fire Mountain better than anyone. This will be a fair assessment of more than just brute strength. The challenge clearly intrigued Kakarot. Begin when ready, warrior princess. What followed was unlike any pursuit of Dragon Balls thus far. Fire Mountain earned its name from the perpetual flames that engulfed its upper reaches, the result. Locals claimed, of an ancient curse. The path to its summit required not just strength but tactical thinking, environmental adaptation, and precision key control to navigate safely. Chi-Chi proved herself not just Kakarot's equal in technique but his superior in knowledge of the terrain. Where he might have simply powered through obstacles, she demonstrated more efficient paths. When flames blocked their route, she taught him a specific key manipulation technique that temporarily suppressed fire. Your father designed this as a training ground. Kakarot as they scaled a particularly treacherous cliff face, lava flows on either side limiting their path to inches of stable rock. Every element has purpose, Chi-Chi confirmed, navigating the narrow path with practiced ease. Heat tests endurance. Unstable terrain improves balance. Limited oxygen enhances key efficiency. Systematic environmental challenges to develop specific skills, Kakarot observed. Similar to Saiyan training methods, though ours emphasize survival under varying gravity conditions. Chi-Chi glanced at him with genuine curiosity. Your people design training specifically for combat preparation. Saiyans are born warriors, he stated, though something in his tone suggested recitation rather than personal conviction. Our purpose is conquest. Purpose can change, Chi-Chi remarked as they reached a plateau. My father was once a feared destroyer himself. Master Roshi helped him find a warrior's path that created rather than merely conquered. Kakarot absorbed this information silently as they continued their ascent. At the summit, they found not just the ceremonial fan but a small shrine containing scrolls of ancient martial arts wisdom. While Chi-Chi retrieved the fan, Kakarot examined the scrolls with unexpected reverence. These detail key techniques unknown even to Master Roshi, he observed, scanning the contents with rapid comprehension. They're the original teachings brought from the divine realm, Chi-Chi explained. My ancestors were entrusted with their protection centuries ago. Rather than attempting to take them, Kakarot carefully resealed the scrolls. Knowledge earned surpasses knowledge stolen, he stated, surprising Chi-Chi with what sounded like an earth philosophy. That's an enlightened perspective for a conqueror, she observed cautiously. Kakarot's expression turned contemplative. Conquest without understanding yields temporary victory. Understanding before conquest ensures lasting rule. Still thinking like a conqueror, Chi-Chi noted. Though without judgment, but perhaps an evolving one. Their return journey proved even more challenging as the mountain's volcanic activity intensified, seemingly responding to their presence. When a massive lava flow threatened to cut off their path, Kakarot instinctively positioned himself to shield Chi-Chi, a protective gesture at odds with his stated nature. She noticed, of course. I don't need protection, she stated firmly, though not ungratefully. But I acknowledge the warrior's instinct to preserve worthy opponents. Kakarot didn't deny the characterization. Your techniques merit preservation. Tactical reasoning only. Of course, she replied with the ghost of a smile. Upon their return to the castle, Ox King received the fan with formal ceremony, then Prez entered the Dragon Ball with equal solemnity. You've earned this not just through strength but wisdom, the giant declared. Few reach the summit without learning something beyond combat technique. As Bulma added the sixth ball to their collection, Ox King turned to his daughter. Chi-Chi, what did you observe of our visitor's character during this trial? Chi-Chi met Kakarot's gaze directly. He fights like one born to battle, but thinks like one who questions his path. He protected when he could have abandoned, shared when he could have taken. She paused thoughtfully. He would make a worthy training partner. Something unspoken passed between father and daughter, a question and answer requiring no words. It seems my daughter wishes to join your quest, Ox King announced. At least until its completion. Kakarot tilted his head in that now familiar gesture of assessment. Her combat skills would be tactically advantageous, he acknowledged. And her knowledge of Earth's martial arts traditions could provide useful data. Bulma suppressed a smile at his clinical justification for what was clearly growing respect. Then it's settled, Chi-Chi declared, already gathering her traveling equipment with efficient movements. I'll accompany you to find the final Dragon Ball and witness this wish of knowledge. As they prepared to depart, Ox King took Kakarot aside. My daughter sees something in you beyond the conqueror you claim to be, he rumbled quietly. She has always had keen insight into true nature. Your daughter sees what she wishes to see, Kakarot replied, though without his usual dismissiveness. Perhaps, the giant acknowledged. Or perhaps she sees what you haven't yet recognized in yourself. Their journey continued with Chi-Chi now an integral part of their unusual band. The final Dragon Ball's signal led them toward the northern mountains, a desolate region said to be home to both incredible danger and the legendary Red Ribbon Army, a military organization rumored to control much of the world's black market weapons trade. As their group made camp near the base of the mountains, the dynamics between them had evolved dramatically from when Kakarot and Bulma first set out. The Saiyan remained their de facto leader, but increasingly sought tactical input from the others, recognizing their specialized knowledge. The Red Ribbon Army controls this territory, Chi-Chi informed them as they gathered around the campfire. Their commander, General Red, has been collecting magical artifacts for years. If the Dragon Ball is in this region, they likely have it already. Kakarot considered this intelligence. Direct assault would be inefficient without knowing their defensive capabilities. I could get us in, Launch offered, currently in her blonde, criminal persona. Red Ribbon security systems are good, but I've cracked better. We should gather intelligence first, Krillin suggested. I could scout their perimeter without being detected. Bull. Ma watched with fascination as Kakarot absorbed these suggestions rather than dismissing them. The Saiyan who once would have simply destroyed anything in his path now weighed tactical options with strategic consideration. Launch will infiltrate their communication systems, he decided finally. Krillin will provide perimeter assessment. Chi-Chi and I will remain in reserve for combat response if needed. Bulma will monitor Dragon Ball proximity using her radar. The casual inclusion of everyone's strengths in his planning revealed how far he'd evolved from the solitary conqueror who'd first encountered Bulma in the forest. Not a moral transformation. His ultimate goals remained ambiguous, but a tactical adaptation that recognized value in cooperation. As the others prepared for their assignments, Bulma found herself alone with Kakarot by the fire, the Saiyan studying the 6 Dragon Balls they'd collected. The orange spheres glowed with internal light, pulsing subtly as though alive. We're almost there, she observed. One more and you get your wish for knowledge. Kakarot nodded, his expression uncharacteristically pensive. The journey to obtain these artifacts has provided unexpected data. Data. Bulma smiled slightly. Is that what you call friendship? His brow furrowed at the term. Saiyans don't form attachments except for tactical advantage. And yet here you are, incorporating everyone's suggestions into your plans, protecting the group, even showing respect for others' abilities. She gestured toward where Chi-Chi was performing her evening training kata. You've changed since we first met. Tactical adaptation, he insisted, though with less conviction than usual. Call it whatever you want, Bulma shrugged. But the Kakarot who first grabbed that Drago N-ball from the stream wouldn't have hesitated to kill everyone in his path. Now you're planning a stealth mission to minimize casualties. Efficiency isn't weakness, he countered. No, she agreed, but compassion isn't either. Before he could respond, the dragon radar emitted a sharp alert. Bulma checked the screen and gasped. The 7th ball, it's moving. Fast, coming this way. Kakarot was instantly alert, scanning the night sky. Something approaches. A faint light appeared on the horizon, growing rapidly larger. As it neared, they could make out a small aircraft emblazoned with a familiar insignia, a red ribbon. Red Ribbon Army, Chi-Chi confirmed, joining them with battle-ready stance. But why approach so openly? They soon had their answer as the aircraft landed in the clearing before their camp. The door slid open to reveal a diminutive figure in military dress, a red-haired commander barely 4 feet tall, flanked by a massive bodyguard. Well, the small man declared imperiously. So these are the Dragon Ball hunters who've been causing such a stir. I am Commander Red of the Red Ribbon Army, and I believe you have something I want. Kakarot stepped forward, tail swishing with predatory anticipation. You have the final Dragon Ball. Red smiled thinly, producing the 1-star ball from his pocket. Indeed, and you have the other 6. I propose a trade. What possible trade could interest us? Bulma questioned suspiciously. Red's smile widened. Information, Miss Brief. Information about your alien friend here, and the others of his kind who are approaching Earth as we speak. The revelation hit with seismic force. Kakarot went rigid, his ki flaring visibly around him. Explain, he demanded, voice deadly quiet. Red gestured to his aircraft. Our satellites detected your arrival years ago, though we lost track of you until recently. But 3 months ago, we intercepted a transmission in the same alien language as your POD's signals. More of your kind are coming, warrior. And I don't think they're coming to congratulate you on your conquest. Bulma glanced at Kakarot, seeing the calculation in his eyes. We need to hear this transmission, she said. Hence my proposal. Red continued smoothly. Your 6 Dragon Balls in exchange for everything we know about the incoming aliens. Unacceptable terms, Kakarot stated flatly. We will take both the ball and the information. Red laughed, genuinely amused. I thought you might say that. Which is why I've taken precautions. He snapped his fingers, and his bodyguard produced a small device. This transmits my vital signs to our headquarters. Should they cease, the transmission data will be automatically destroyed. Kakarot's eyes narrowed, recognizing the tactical stalemate. We could make a different deal, Bulma suggested. Let us hear the transmission and keep our Dragon Balls. In exchange, after our wish, we'll give you all 7 balls. Red considered this tempting, but what guarantee do I have that you'll honor such an arrangement? The word of a warrior, Chi-Chi stated firmly, stepping beside Kakarot. In the traditions of my people, such a vow is binding unto death. To everyone's surprise, Kakarot nodded in agreement. A Saiyan's pledge holds similar weight. We do not break battle oaths. Red studied them thoughtfully. Very well. You may hear the transmission and make your wish. Afterward, all 7 Dragon Balls come to me. The commander produced a small audio device, activating it with a press of his thumb. Static crackled briefly before a harsh, alien voice. Ce spoke in a language none of them recognized, none except Kakarot, whose expression darkened with each syllable. That's a Saiyan dialect, he confirmed when the message ended. Advanced military code. What does it say? Bulma pressed. Kakarot's expression turned grim. It's from a Saiyan elite named Raditz, claiming to be my brother. He states that he and 2 others are coming to evaluate my conquest progress. If Earth is not subjugated upon their arrival, they will consider me failed programming to be terminated. The implications hung heavily in the night air. How long until they arrive? Chi-Chi asked. Practical even in crisis. Based on our trajectory calculations, Red answered, approximately 3 months. Which means we make our wish now, Bulma concluded, and prepare for their arrival afterward. Red placed the final Dragon Ball on the ground between them. I believe we have a deal, then. As the 7 Dragon Balls were gathered together for the first time, their pulsing light intensified. Orange glow merging into a brilliant radiance that illuminated the clearing like daylight. What's the summoning method? Kakarot asked, his voice uncharacteristically tense. According to legend, you call forth the eternal dragon by name, Shenron, Red supplied, his ambition momentarily overcoming his caution. Kakarot stepped forward, placing his hand over the assembled spheres. For a moment, he hesitated, the culmination of their journey suddenly before him, the wish for knowledge within his grasp. Eternal Dragon Shenron, he called, voice ringing with authority. I summon you to grant my wish. The Dragon Balls pulsed once, twice, then erupted with golden light that shot skyward, piercing the clouds and darkening the night to unnatural black. The energy coalesced, taking serpentine form, scales materializing from pure power until the massive form of Shenron floated above them, red eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom. I am Shenron, the dragon's voice boomed, resonating through bone and earth alike. Speak your wish, and I shall grant it. All present stood in awe, even Commander Red momentarily humbled by the cosmic entity before them. Only Kakarot maintained his composure. Stepping forward to address the dragon directly. Eternal Dragon, he began, then paused, reconsidering his words. The wish for knowledge about his origins had driven him thus far. Red's revelation about incoming Saiyans shifted priorities. Bulma saw his hesitation and moved to his side. This is your wish, she reminded him quietly. What do you truly want to know? Kakarot's gaze moved across the companions he'd gathered, the brilliant scientist who challenged his thinking, the disciplined monk who followed to learn, the dual-natured criminal who respected his strength. The warrior princess who recognized his potential beyond destruction. Each had revealed aspects of Earth and its inhabitants that complicated his original mission. I await your wish, Shenron prompted, cosmic patience nonetheless limited. Kakarot straightened, decision made. Eternal Dragon, reveal to me the true intent of Lord Frieza toward the Saiyan race, and whether my mission of conquest serves my people's interests or merely his. Quote, the dragon's eyes glowed brighter, processing this complex request. This knowledge is within my power to grant. Behold, light erupted from the dragon's mouth, surrounding Kakarot in a cocoon of radiance. Within this illumination, visions played, visible only to the Saiyan but so intense that all present could see their impact on his face. Kakarot witness, Frieza's true plans, the tyrant's fear of Saiyan potential, his decision to use them as conquerors while planning their eventual extinction, the calculated orders sending Saiyan infants to distant place. A nets not just for conquest but to reduce their numbers on the homeworld. Most devastating, he saw Frieza's destruction of planet Vegeta itself, the obliteration of his race, his culture, his origin. He saw the truth. He had never been sent to prepare Earth for the Empire. He had been discarded, expected to either die in the attempt or be eliminated afterward. The arriving Saiyans, the only others to survive through similar distant assignments, were likewise pawns in Frieza's cosmic game. When the light faded, Kakarot stood rigid, processing revelations that shattered his foundational programming. "My mission was a lie," he stated flatly. "My people are destroyed. Frieza eliminated planet Vegeta after sending me away. Your wish has been granted," Shenron declared, beginning to dissipate. Farewell. The dragon vanished in a final burst of light, the 7 dragon balls rising into the air, then shooting outward in 7 directions, scattering across the world until needed again. Commander Red stepped forward impatiently. "Well, what did you learn? What about our agreement?" Kakarot turned slowly, his expression transformed by knowledge far heavier than anticipated. "The balls are scattered and inactive for 1 year," he stated, information somehow imparted through his connection with Shenron. "Your satellites can track them again when they reactivate." Red sputtered indignantly. "But our deal stands," Kakarot interrupted. "When the balls reactivate, they are yours. Until then," his gaze hardened, "Earth has more immediate concerns. 3 Saiyans approach, warriors who dawn. Chi yet know that our mission was a deception, that our loyalty was rewarded with genocide. What will you do?" Chi asked quietly. Kakarot looked to the stars where his kinsman journeyed, unaware of the truths he now possessed. "Prepare, not for conquest, but for something else entirely." As dawn broke over the mountain range, illuminating their unusual gathering, Kakarot made a decision to. Chi diverged permanently from his original programming. Earth would not be conquered, at least not by him. It would be defended, not out of newfound morality, but because it now represented something unexpected. Leverage against the empire that had betrayed him, and sanctuary for perhaps the last survivors of a nearly extinct warrior race. "The conquest of Earth is officially terminated," he declared, addressing companions who had become something more than tactical assets. "Now begins the reclamation of Saiyan destiny." The announcement marked not an end but a transformation, not into the hero Goku might have been, but into something more complex. A conqueror who chose his own path, a destroyer who found reason to protect, a weapon who developed purpose beyond programming. Not good, perhaps, but no longer merely what he was designed to be. Chapter 2. Empire of the Monkey King. The eastern capital glittered beneath the midday sun, its skyline transformed from the metropolis it had been 6 months earlier. Sleek obsidian towers now punctuated the urban landscape, their architecture a haunting fusion of human engineering and alien design. Where Capsule Corporation headquarters once dominated the city center, a monolithic structure of impossible proportions now cast its shadow, a palace that served as both fortress and statement of intent. Citizens moved through the streets with purpose, their routines largely unchanged despite the seismic shift in governance. The transition had been bloodless in this particular city, a calculated decision by its new ruler. Other regions had not fared as well in resisting the inevitable. From the highest observation deck of the central spire, Kakarot surveyed his domain. 18 years after his arrival as an infant sent to conquer, 6 months AF. Chair learning the truth about his mission's origins, the Saiyan warrior had claimed approximately 1/3 of Earth as his sovereign territory. Not through the mindless destruction his programming had originally dictated, but through strategic calculation that preserved resources while establishing unquestionable authority. The agricultural yield from the southern provinces increased 12% this quarter, reported the blue-haired woman studying holographic data projected from her tablet. Your decision to implement Saiyan growing techniques while maintaining local farming leadership has proven optimal. Bulma brief, now Minister of Science and Development for what international media had dubbed the Saiyan Protectorate, had transformed as dramatically as the landscape. Gone were her explorer's clothes, replaced by a tailored uniform that blended laboratory functionality with the formal aesthetics of Kakarot's new regime. Her hair was pulled back severely, though a few rebelli. Aus strands framed features that had hardened with responsibility and softened with purpose. Resource optimization was predictable, Kakarot replied, his voice deeper than 6 months prior. Authority settled into it like sediment. Your technological integration of our agricultural techniques exceeded expectations. From another man, this might have sounded like praise. From Kakarot, it was simple assessment. Yet Bulma had learned to recognize the subtle differences in his evaluations, this one carrying an understated appreciation absent when addressing others in his growing administration. The Western capital continues resistance, she noted, swiping to a different projection showing conflict zones marked in pulsing red. Their military coalition has adapted to our standard response patterns. Kakarot's tail, now adorned with ceremonial gold bands marking his self-proclaimed status, curled thoughtfully. Tactical predictability creates vulnerability. We will alter approach. Might I suggest something unconventional? Bulma ventured. The Saiyan turned from the sprawling vista, giving her his full attention, a privilege few received. At 24, Kakarot had grown into his power with disturbing grace. His armor, once cobbled from animal hides and salvaged technology, now featured advanced alloys and synthetic materials of Bulma's design, black and deep crimson that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. His wild hair remained unchanged, a crown of obsidian spikes that defied both gravity and conformity. Proceed, he commanded, though the edge that once made such word's threatening had evolved into something more measured. The Western coalition expects either overwhelming force or strategic infiltration. They've prepared for both. Bulma manipulated her projection to display population density maps. Their leadership believes you think like a conqueror. They don't understand you've evolved beyond that programming. Interest flickered in Kakarot's dark eyes. Why? Oh, you propose psychological warfare rather than physical. I propose making them an offer they don't expect. She met his gaze directly, one of the few who dared. Economic integration without political subjugation. Allow them limited autonomy within your protectorate framework. Their resources flow into your empire, their people maintain the illusion of independence, and you gain territory without damaging valuable infrastructure. Kakarot considered this, his tactical mind visibly processing implications. Fascinating. You suggest conquest through perceived compromise. A rare half-smile touched his lips. Your strategic thinking continues to develop, Bulma brief. She inclined her head slightly, accepting the acknowledgement. I've had an effective teacher in realpolitik. Their exchange as interrupted as the chamber's doors slid open, admitting a warrior whose disciplined posture contrasted with his diminutive stature. My lord, Krillin announced formally, having adopted the title D. Despite Kakarot's indifference to human honorifics, the diplomatic contingent from the southern islands has arrived. And, he hesitated, there's been another incident in the treasury level. Kakarot's expression shifted minutely. Launch again. I'm afraid so, Krillin confirmed, unable to completely suppress his amusement. Blonde version. 3 guards in medical, 1 security system comprehensively dismantled. She's currently contained in holding area 4. Reschedule the diplomats, Kakarot decided after brief consideration. I'll address our recurring security breach personally. As he strode from the chamber, Bulma exchanged a knowing look with Krillin. In the hierarchy that had formed around Kakarot, they represented different facets of his evolving empire, Bulma its scientific advancement, Krillin its martial discipline. Both had witnessed the Saiyan's transformation from programmed conqueror to strategic ruler, and both recognized the particular interest he took in certain security violations. That's the 3rd attempt this month, Bulma observed once Kakarot was beyond earshot. One might almost think he's impressed by her persistence. Krillin smiled wryly. One might almost think she gets caught on purpose. Holding Area 4, unlike standard detention cells, featured comfortable furnishings and ambient lighting, accommodations befitting a guest rather than a prisoner. Its sole occupant lounged on a plush sofa, booted feet propped irreverently on a coffee table, blonde hair cascading over shoulders clad in black tactical gear. Took you long enough, Monkey King. Launch drawled as the door slid open to admit Kakarot. Your security team's getting sloppy. Almost made it to the vault this time. The systems performed as designed, Kakarot countered, dismissing her guards with a gesture. Your capture was predetermined. Launch grinned wolfishly. That's what you think. Maybe I wanted to get caught. Obviously, he replied, circling her position with predatory grace. The question is why. Over the past 6 months, Launch had established a curious relationship with Kakarot's regime. When blue-haired, she served as a surprisingly effective administrator in public health initiatives. When blonde, triggered by unpredictable transformations, she vanished into the criminal underworld, emerging periodically to test Kakarot's security through increasingly elaborate heists. "Maybe I get bored playing nurse," she suggested, stretching languorously. "Maybe I like reminding you that not everyone in your fancy empire bows and scrapes. Your dual nature provides tactical advantages in both roles," Kakarot observed, unmoved by her provocative posture. "Yet you persist in these futile challenges to authority." Launch stood abruptly, closing the distank between them with a boldness few would dare. "That's because you've forgotten something important, monkey boy." She tapped his armored chest with one finger. "You need chaos agents like me. All your perfect systems, your strategies and plans, they work in theory. I test them in practice." Something shifted in Kakarot's expression, a recognition that, despite her apparent insubordination, Launch's assessment held merit. "Your methods are inefficient," he stated, though without his former dismissiveness. "My methods are human," she countered, eyes flashing. "And despite all your alien superiority, you're ruling humans. Better understand how we think." For a long moment, they stood in silent confrontation. Then, surprisingly, Kakarot inclined his head slightly. "Your insights have tactical value," he acknowledged. "Which is why you receive holding area 4 rather than standard incarceration." Launch's fierce expression softened into something more genuine. "Admit it, you'd miss our little game." Before Kakarot could respond, a violent sneeze shook Launch's frame. The transformation was immediate and dramatic. Blonde hair shifting to blue, sharp features softening, predatory stance relaxing into gentler posture. "Oh!" Blue Launch exclaimed, blinking in confusion at her surroundings. "Not again." She looked down at her tactical clothing with dismay. What did she do this time? "Treasury infiltration attempt," Kakarot informed her matter-of-factly. "Minimal structural damage. 3 guards requiring medical attention." Blue Launch covered her face with her hands. "I'm so sorry. Were they seriously hurt? I should check their injuries immediately." The contrast between personalities remained as stark as ever, yet Kakarot had developed a curious respect for both aspects of Launch's divided self. Where once he might have viewed such transformation as weakness, he now recognized the strategic advantages of her condition, particularly as both versions had proven surprisingly loyal to his cause. Albeit expressing that loyalty through dramatically different methods. "Your medical expertise would be beneficial," he agreed, gesturing toward the door. "Your counterpart's security recommendations will be reviewed as well." Blue Launch's expression brightened with surprise. "You're implementing her suggestions, even after she broke in." "Effective strategy requires multiple perspectives," Kakarot stated. As if this explained everything. Perhaps, in his evolving worldview, it did. The diplomatic reception proceeded with calculated precision that evening. Representatives from Earth's southern islands archipelago presented their formal recognition of Kakarot's regime. The grand hull of the central tower displayed the Saiyan aesthetic that had emerged under his rule, functio. Null minimalism punctuated by symbolic power demonstrations. Gravity generators created subtle pressure gradients that made approaching his elevated throne physically taxing for humans, while strategic lighting cast his features in otherworldly contrast. Chi-Chi, serving as security minister and commander of Kakarot's elite guard, supervised proceedings with martial efficiency. Her traditional IOR princess garb had evolved into ceremonial armor that combined protective functionality with intimidating elegance. At her waist hung the power pole, a legendary weapon gifted by her father to Simbo. Lisa, her new role as protector of a different kind of kingdom. The Southern Coalition presents its formal acknowledgement of the Saiyan Protectorate's sovereignty, announced their lead diplomat, Bowie. Ing precisely to protocol depth, neither subservient nor challenging. Kakarot observed the proceedings with calculated detachment, allowing Chi-Chi to handle the ceremonial responses. Their working relationship had developed into something Earth's political analysts struggled to categorize. Not quite advisor and leader, nor simply commander and sovereign, but a partnership founded on mutual martial respect that occasionally bordered on something deeper. "The Protectorate acknowledges your recognition," Chi-Chi responded formally. "Your autonomy in internal governance remains guaranteed provided adherence to resource allocation agreements." The diplomatic exchange continued with ritualistic precision, each side maintaining the careful balance Kakarot had established in territories that submitted without military intervention. Unlike regions that resisted, these willing participants in his emerging empire retained cultural identity and limited self-governance, a strategy Bulma had helped develop to minimize resistance while maximizing resource efficiency. From his throne, Kakarot surveyed the gathered representatives with the calculating assessment that had replaced his former contempt for human political processes. 6 months of empire building had taught him that conquest took many forms, some more sustainable than others. As the ceremony concluded, Chi-Chi dismissed the diplomatic contingent and approached the throne, her formal demeanor shifting subtly to the more direct communication she maintained in private. "The southern islands will integrate smoothly," she reported. Air maritime resources will prove valuable, particularly their pearl beds with unusual energy-conducting properties. Kakarot nodded, rising from his seated position. Despite the throne's imposing appearance, he rarely remained in it longer than ceremony required. "You sensed no deception in their representatives?" "None," Chi-Chi confirmed. "Unlike the Northern Federation delegation last month, their heartbeats and micro-expressions revealed preparation for potential betrayal." "Your human intuition complements Saiyan senses effectively," Kakarot acknowledged as they walked together through a private corridor connecting the ceremonial hall to his strategic planning chamber. "The training regimen you developed for our human security forces has exceeded performance projections." Coming from Kakarot, this constituted high praise. Chi-Chi had earned her position through more than martial skill. Her strategic mind and leadership capabilities had transformed what might have been merely RCERS into a cohesive security apparatus that balanced protection with precision. "We've incorporated techniques from 17 distinct Earth martial traditions," she explained as they entered the place Anning chamber where holographic displays showed global territory status, adapting each for specific tactical purposes while maintaining the Turtle School fundamentals as our core system. Kakarot Street. "You dyed the territorial display with narrowed focus. The Red Ribbon Army continues encroachment along our northwestern border." Chi-Chi's expression hardened. "Commander Red violated 3 separate non-aggression pacts this month alone. Their technological development accelerated dramatically after." She hesitated. "After I spared them following the Dragon Ball revelation," Kakarot completed, no regret in his tone, merely tactical reassessment. "Strategic error on my part. Their scientific division has weaponized concepts extracted from my POD's salvaged components. They're developing anti-Saiyan weaponry." Chi-Chi confirmed grimly. "Our intelligence suggests directed energy weapons calibrated specifically to your biological signature." Kakarot's tail swished in what might have been anticipation rather than concern. "Ingenuity worthy of respect, if ultimately futile. Prepare containment response teams. We move against their primary research facility at dawn." Chi-Chi bowed slightly. "As you command." She turned to leave but paused at the threshold. "Kakarot, about tomorrow's mission. I request permission to lead the primary strike team personally." The Saiyan studied her with hat penetrating gaze that seemed to assess not just physical capability but underlying motivation. "Reasoning. Their lead scientist, Jero, has been experimenting on human subjects," she replied. Controlled rage evident in her precisely measured words. "Creating cybernetic abominations against their will. Whatever our disagreements with other human governments, this violates fundamental ethical boundaries." Something shifted in Kakarot's expression, a recognition of moral complexity that his original programming would never have comprehended. "Permission granted. Capture Jero alive if possible. His knowledge, properly directed, could serve Protectorate interests." Chi-Chi nodded once, sharply, then departed to prepare her forces, leaving Kakarot to contemplate the holographic representation of his expanding territory. The borders of his control now encompassed what had once been East City, South City, and numerous smaller nations that had wisely chosen negotiation over resistance. The Western territories remained contested, with Commander Red's forces representing the most organized opposition. 6 months ago, he would have simply obliterated such resistance with overwhelming force. Now, his strategies had evolved, not from newfound benevolence, but from recognition that ruling required different approaches than conquering. The knowledge granted by Shenron had changed everything. With his original mission revealed as manipulation, with his people destroyed by the very empire that had sent him, Kakarot had redirected his Saiyan drive for conquest toward a new purpose. aiding a power base from which to confront Frieza's betrayal. Earth, once merely a target for subjugation, had become something more complex, a repository of techniques, technologies, and human resources that, properly harnessed, might contribute to a greater vengeance. And in that transformation of purpose, Kakarot himself had evolved from mindless conqueror to strategic emperor. Not good, perhaps, but increasingly his own creation rather than Frieza's tool. Dawn painted the mountain research facility in blood-red light as Chi-Chi's strike teams took position. The Red Ribbon Army's northern HEA-D quarters had been constructed with remarkable speed, its architecture blending concrete brutalism with advanced technological systems that hummed with ominous energy. Chi-Chi signaled her unit common DERs through their secure communication network, a system Bulma had designed specifically for human fighters operating in high-stress conditions. Unlike traditional military hierarchies, Kakarot's elite forces blended martial arts masters from various traditions with former special forces operators, creating strike teams with capabilities beyond conventional military units. Primary target is research level B3, she reminded them. Her voice calm despite the imminent conflict. Dr. Gero is priority acquisition. Research data secondary. Minimize civilian casualties. Remember, many facility workers are conscripted, not volunteers. Acknowledgements filtered through her earpiece as team leaders confirmed their positions. Chi-Chi checked her own equipment one final time, the power pole secured across her back. Lightweight armor providing protection without sacrificing mobility, key enhancing gauntlets of Bulma's design channeling her energy with greater efficiency. The operation commenced with surgical precision. Barrier teams disabled perimeter sensors using technology reverse-engineered from Kakarot's pod. Infiltration specialists neutralized external guards with non-lethal techniques. Within 7 minutes, Chi-Chi's team had penetrated to the facility's second level without raising general alarms. It was there they encountered the first evidence of Dr. Gero's experiments. The creature moved with unnatural fluidity, its humanoid form enhanced with visible cybernetic components. Where its right arm should have been, a weapon system whirred with mechanical menace. Its eyes glowed red in the emergency lighting, tracking Chi-Chi's team with inhuman precision. Subject 8 online, it announced in a voice that retained disturbing hints of its former humanity. Intruder elimination protocols engaged. Chi-Chi signaled her team to hold position as she stepped forward. Stand down, she commanded. We're not here to destroy you. The cyborg's head tilted with machine curiosity. Security override not recognized. Proceeding with Defense Protocol Alpha. What followed was combat unlike anything Chi-Chi had experienced outside training with Kakarot himself. The cyborg moved with speed that blurred human perception, its enhanced systems compensating for what had once been biological limitations. Energy beams erupted from its weaponized arm, scorching the corridor wall where Chi-Chi had stood moments before. Drawing the power pole in one fluid motion, Chi-Chi extended the mystical weapon to intercept the cyborg's second attack. The impact reverberated through her arms, confirming Gero's creation possessed strength far beyond human capability. Analyzing combat patterns, the cyborg intoned mechanically. Turtle School derivative techniques identified. Countermeasures deployed. Its fighting style shifted instantly, adapting to exploit weaknesses in traditional Turtle School forms. Chi-Chi smiled grimly, exactly as anticipated. Now, she commanded. 2 team members at a CKED simultaneously from opposite angles, using wolf fang techniques that contrasted sharply with Chi-Chi's approach. The cyborg's programming struggled to adapt to multiple conflicting styles, creating a momentary processing lag. Chi-Chi seized the opportunity, channeling ki through her gauntlets into the power pole. The weapon glowed with concentrated energy as she struck precisely at the junct on between organic and mechanical components in the cyborg's torso. The creature froze, systems shorting out from the targeted electromagnetic pulse her strike delivered. As it collapsed, Chi-Chi noted with grim satisfaction that its human components remained undamaged. Perhaps this victim of Gero's experimentation could be saved. Secure and stabilize, she ordered. Medical team, prepare for potential rehabilitation protocols. She activated her command channel. Strike leader to control. First encounter with cybernetic enhancement confirmed. Proceeding to level B3. Acknowledged, came Krillin's voice through her earpiece. He coordinated the operation from their forward command post, managing multiple teams with the discipline he developed as Kakarot's chief training officer. Satellite. E-imaging shows energy fluctuations in the central research chamber. Exercise extreme caution. The warning proved prescient. As Chi-Chi's team breached the final security door to Jero's laboratory, He encountered not just another cyborg but an entire chamber of horrors. Suspended animation pods lined the walls, each containing partially transformed human subjects in various stages of cybernetic modification. Monitoring equipment blinked and whirred, documenting the grotesque merging of flesh and technology. At the chamber's center stood Drive. Jero himself, a thin, white-haired man whose cold yes revealed the clinical detachment that allowed such experimentation. Beside him stood his apparent masterpiece, a completed cybernetic warrior whose perfectly human appearance made it more disturbing than its partially transformed predecessors. Security breach as predicted, Jero remarked with unsettling calm. Subject 17, eliminate the intruders. The android, for it appeared more artificial intelligence than cyborg, moved with breathtaking speed. One moment it stood beside Jero, the next it materialized before Chi-Chi, its perfectly formed fist aimed at her throat. Only years of training Ender Kakarot's merciless regimen saved her. Chi-Chi twisted sideways, the android's strike missing by millimeters. Her counterattack, a precision key-enhanced palm thrust, connected solidly with the android's chest but produced no visible effect. Impact registered, the android stated in a chillingly pleasant voice. Force insufficient for damage. It smiled with artificial perfection. Would you like to try again? The laboratory erupted into chaos as Chi-Chi's team engaged both the android and Jero's security systems. Unlike the previous cyborg, this creation showed no signs of former humanity, its movements too perfect. Its speech patterns too processed, its attacks precisely calculated. Chi-Chi found herself driven back step by step despite implementing every advanced technique in her considerable arsenal. The android anticipated her movements, countered her strategies, and steadily increased attack pressure without apparent effort. Your combat efficiency is impressive for a human. The android observed conversationally while deflecting her most powerful combination. Dr. Jero's data on turtle school techniques clearly requires updating. We're not here for the android. Chi-Chi shouted to her team. Primary target is Jero. The scientist, realizing his creation provided only temporary distraction, had retreated toward a concealed exit panel. 3 team members broke off to intercept him, only to be blocked by another cybernetic guardian emerging from a previously hidden alcove. Chi-Chi recognized the strategic disadvantage immediately. Committing her full force against the android would allow Jero to escape with his research. Diverting resources to capture Jero left her vulnerable to the android's overwhelming capabilities. The decision was made for her as the labor. A Torii ceiling suddenly disintegrated in a controlled explosion of focused energy. Through the newly created aperture descended a figure radiating power that dwarfed even the android's impressive capabilities. Kakarot landed between Chi-Chi and her mechanical opponent, his expression revealing the cold calculation that preceded decisive action. Fascinating, he observed, studying the android with scientific interest rather than combat apprehension. Mechanical approximation of key manipulation. Primitive but ingenious. The android reassessed the situation instantly, its programming recognizing the exponential threat increase. Saiyan biological signature confirmed. Engaging maximum combat protocols. What followed was not battle but evaluation. Kakarot allowed the android to attack, analyzing its movements, testing responses to varying defensive techniques. His expression remained clinically detached, as though cataloging the strengths and limitations of a potentially useful specimen. Adequate speed, he assessed as the android launched a flurry of strikes that would have pulverized ordinary opponents. Power generation inefficient. Energy consumption rate suggests operational duration approximately 17 minutes at current output. The android's expression shifted subtly, the first indication of something beyond programmed response. Analytical assessment incomplete. Full capabilities not yet demonstrated. Unnecessary, Kakarot replied dismissively. With a movement too swift for human perception, he plunged his hand directly into the android's chest, extracting a glowing power core with surgical precision. The android froze mid-motion, its systems shutting down in cascading failure. Kakarot examined the pulsing energy source with scientific curiosity. Primitive. Adaptation of principles from my pod's propulsion system. Creative application despite technological limitations. While Kakarot analyzed the android's power source, Chi-Chi refocused on the primary mission objective. Dr. Gero had used the distraction to reach his escape route, but found himself suddenly facing the blue-haired version of Launch, who had infiltrated through ventilation systems during the main assault. "I'm really sorry about this," Blue Launch apologized with genuine regret before delivering a precisely targeted sedative injection to the scientist's neck. Gero collapsed unconscious, his escape thwarted by the least martial but perhaps most strategic member of Kakarot's inner circle. Primary target secured, Chi-Chi confirmed, activating facility-wide communication. All teams, complete containment protocols and prepare for extraction. Kakarot approached the unconscious scientist, studying the man responsible for these technological abominations with dispassionate assessment. His knowledge will accelerate certain research initiatives, he observed, particularly integration of mechanical enhancement with biological systems. These weren't voluntary test subjects, Chi-Chi reminded him, gesturing toward the suspended animation chambers where partly transformed humans remained in stasis. He violated every ethical boundary. Ethics are cultural constructs, Kakarot replied, though without the dismissal his earlier self might have employed. But inefficient methodology. Willing subjects yield superior results through cooperative enhancement. This was as CLO's to moral judgment as the Saiyan typically came, condemning Gero's approach not for its cruelty but its inefficiency. Yet Chi-Chi had learned to recognize the subtle evolution in his thinking, the gradual incorporation of human considerations into his strategic calculus. The subjects who can be saved will receive rehabilitation at our medical facilities, Kakarot decided, demonstrating the pragmatic compromise that characterized his governance. Gero's knowledge will be extracted and repurposed. His methods discarded as inefficient. For those who served in Kakarot's inner circle, such science revealed the complex reality of the Saiyan Protectorate, neither the humanitarian governance some humans might wish for, nor the mindless destruction his original programming had intended. Someth Ing-Nu had emerged in the space between Alien Conqueror and Earth Defender. Dr. Gero's capture marked a turning point in the conflict with the Red Ribbon Army. Without their chief scientist, their technological advantage quickly eroded. Within weeks, Commander Red sued for peace, accepting integration into the Protectorate with limited autonomy, precisely the compromise Bulma had suggested for the Western territories. The Red Ribbon facilities became research centers under Bulma's scientific division, their resources redirected toward Kakarot's evolving priorities, defensive capabilities against potential extraterrestrial threats, communication systems capable of interstellar transmission, and enhanced training methodologies for his growing force of human warriors. 3 months after the Dragon Ball wish, Kakarot's empire had stabilized across approximately 60% of Earth's surface. The remaining territories maintained uneasy independence, their governments recognizing that I stance merely delayed inevitable incorporation into the Protectorate. It was during this period of consolidation that the first anomalous energy readings appeared in the northern wastelands, a region so inhospitable that even Kakarot had deemed it low priority for immediate conquest. The signature doesn't match any known terrestrial energy pattern, Bulma reported, displaying atmospheric NCE data on the strategic chamber's main projection. It's similar to the ambient radiation from your pod, but with significant variations. Kakarot studied the readings with heightened attention. Arrival point prediction. If current trajectory holds, impact in the northern wastelands within 72 hours. Bulma manipulated the projection to show potential landing zones. Too soon to be Saiyans mentioned in Commander Red's intelligence. Different approach vector entirely. Dispatch reconnaissance teams to establish perimeter, Kakarot ordered. No engagement without direct authorization. Chi-Chi will coordinate defensive positioning. The atmosphere in Kakarot's inner circle grew tense as preparations accelerated. Launch's blonde persona volunteered for advanced scouting, her criminal infiltration skills repurposed for intelligence gathering. Krillin intensified training for elite response teams, incorporating techniques specifically designed for unknown extraterrestrial threats. Exactly 70 hours later, Earth's atmosphere burned with the arrival of an alien craft significantly larger than Kakarot's original pod. Its design featured organic curves blended with crystalline structures. Technology clearly advanced beyond even Bulma's enhanced capsule corporation developments. The craft touched down precisely where projected, creating a substantial impact crater in the frozen wasteland. Kakarot observed from strategic altitude, his power suppressed to avoid detection while Launch's reconnaissance team provided ground-level intelligence through Bulma's secure communication network. Outer hull composition appears crystalline but functions like advanced metal alloys, Launch reported, her blonde persona's recklessness tempered by professional assessment. No visible propulsion system, structure reconfiguring after landing, possibly adapting to local conditions. Life sign readings, Kakarot inquired, his tactical mind processing potential threats and responses. Single occupant, Bulma confirmed from the mobile command center established 10 kilometers from the impact site. Biological signature registers as humanoid but with significant deviations from Earth norms. Power level, she hesitated, recalibrating her instruments. Power level exceeds standard measurement parameters. Kakarot's expression shifted subtly, the first indication of genuine concern his inner circle had witnessed since establishing his empire. Maintain surveillance distance. I will approach directly. Despite objections from his advisors, Kakarot descended toward the alien craft with characteristic directness. Whatever emerged from this vessel, confrontation was inevitable. Better to control the circumstances than react defensively. The ship's crystalline surface rippled like liquid, an aperture forming in its previously seamless hull. From this opening emerged a figure that immediately commanded attention, not through size but presence. Female in form, her skin T1 shifted between azure and teal depending on how light struck its surface. Hair of deeper blue cascaded past her shoulders in thick waves, framing features that blended alien beauty with warrior hardness. Her attire combined functional combat gear with what appeared to be ceremonial significance, armbands inscribed with unknown symbols, a torso covering that provided protection while emphasizing athletic physique. Most striking were her eyes, solid amber without visible pupils, yet conveying unmistakable intelligence and assessment as they locked onto Kakarot's approaching form. Saiyan, she stated flatly, her voice carrying despite the wasteland's howling winds. I suspected Earth's energy disturbances bore your species' signature. Kakarot landed 20 meters from her position, maintaining tactical distance while establishing communication. You have knowledge of Saiyans. Identify yourself and your purpose on this planet. The alien woman studied him with calculated intensity. I am Zangya of the race of Hera. My purpose. A cold smile touched her lips. Let's call it verification of extinction. The statement landed with ominous weight. Kakarot's expression remained impassive, though his tail's movement betrayed heightened alertness. Explain. Your kind invaded my homeworld generations ago, Zangya replied, circling slowly to assess her opponent from multiple angles. Typical Saiyan approach. Arrive. Destroy. Leave. Except some of us survived. Her amber eyes narrowed. We've been tracking Saiyan energy signatures across this galaxy since Frieza allegedly eliminated your species. Hunting down survivors. Quote, you seek vengeance for past conflicts, Kakarot assessed, his tactical mind processing this new information against what Shenron's wish had revealed. An efficient use of resources given Frieza already destroyed planet Vegeta. Zangya's expression shifted to surprise, then calculation. You know about that, interesting. She studied him more carefully. Not like the Saiyans who attacked my world. Younger. More controlled. I never participated in your world's invasion, Kakarot stated simply. I was sent to Earth as an infant. My knowledge of Saiyan history is limited to what I've learned since arriving. This revelation clearly required Zangya to reassess her approach. She had clearly expected a different type of Saiyan, perhaps the brute-ish conquerors who had once ravaged her homeworld. If you seek vengeance, you've traveled far for limited satisfaction, Kakarot continued. I am among the last of my kind. 3 others approach this planet, but beyond that, Saiyan extinction is nearly complete. Nearly complete isn't sufficient, Zangya replied, though her aggressive stance had relaxed marginally. The race of Hera remembers. Our vendetta requires total elimination. Quote, Kakarot's expression turned contemplative. Vendetta against a dead race serves no strategic purpose. Your energy signature suggests capabilities that could be directed toward more productive ends. Such as the true architect of both our species' decimation, Frieza. Kakarot's voice remained controlled, but underlying intensity revealed the purpose that had driven his empire building. Your vengeance is misplaced. The Saiyans were tools, not masters of their actions. Frieza directed our conquests, then destroyed planet Vegeta when he feared Saiyan potential. Zangya's amber eyes narrowed skeptically. You expect me to believe Saiyans were innocent pawns? Not innocent, Kakarot corrected, but manipulated, as were many species under Frieza's empire. He gestured toward the distant outline of his mobile command center. I've established a power base on this planet in preparation for eventual confrontation with Frieza's forces. Your abilities could contribute to that objective. You propose alliance. Zangya laughed coldly. With a Saiyan, I propose pragmatism, Kakarot countered. Our species share common cause against a greater enemy. Temporary cooperation offers mutual benefits. Their negotiation might have continued, but atmospheric sensors suddenly screamed alerts through Kakarot's communication device. Bulma's voice cut through with urgent clarity. Massive energy disturbance detected. Something's breaking through dimensional barriers 50 kilometers southeast of your position. Both warriors turned toward the direction indicated, sensing the unnatural disruption before seeing its physical manifestation. The sky itself seemed to tear open, reality splitting along an invisible seam to create a portal of swirling emerald energy. From this dimensional rift emerged a figure that radiated malevolence, tall and green-skinned with features reminiscent of Earth's amphibian species evolved into humanoid form. Antennae extended from his forehead, and pink-muscled arms rippled with unnatural strength. What fresh abomination is this? Zangya muttered, instinctively shifting into defensive posture alongside Kakarot. There. Previous confrontation temporarily forgotten. King Piccolo, Kakarot identified, recognizing the entity from Master Roshi's ancient scrolls. Demon King sealed centuries ago by Earth's previous guardian. The green being surveyed his surroundings with malicious satisfaction. Freedom, he declared, voice resonating with ancient power. After centuries imprisoned, King Piccolo returns to claim his rightful dominion. His gaze settled on Kakarot and Zangya with narrowed assessment. Interesting. The energy signatures that weakened the dimensional barriers between realms belong to beings of actual consequence. Not the pathetic humans who imprisoned me. Your emergence is poorly timed, Kakarot stated flatly. This planet is under Saiyan protection. King Piccolo laughed, a sound devoid of humor but filled with cruel amusement. Saiyan, how fascinating. I sensed significant changes to this world during my imprisonment. One monkey claiming my rightful territory changes nothing. The Demon King's power flared dramatically, sending shockwaves across the frozen landscape. Trees shattered, ice formations exploded, and the very ground beneath their feet cracked with the pressure of his energy release. Impressive theatrical display, Zangya commented dryly. Compensation for actual combat capability. Piccolo's expression darkened. You dare mock the Demon King? I ruled this world before. Your species learned to harness energy. He extended one hand, gathering sickly green ki into a compressed sphere. Allow me to educate you both. The energy blast that followed exceeded anything Kakarot had yet encountered on Earth. Its power rivaled his own maximum output, its technique refined through ancient knowledge beyond conventional ki manipulation. Both Kakarot and Zangya evaded the primary blast, though the shockwave still sent them skidding across the frozen terrain. The explosion upon impact created a crater nearly a kilometer in diameter, vaporizing everything within its radius instantly. His power level exceeds prediction models, Kakarot observed, tactical assessment overriding surprise. Dimensional imprisonment appears to have enhanced rather than diminished his capabilities. Typical demon physiology, Zangya replied, revealing unexpected knowledge of interdimensional entities. They feed on barrier energy when confined. He's been absorbing power for centuries. Their impromptu alliance formed through immediate necessity. Without verbal coordination, Kakarot attacked from the front while Zangya circled to flank, their combat styles instantly adapting to complement each other's approaches. Kakarot's technique blended turtle school precision with Saiyan power, each strike calculated to test Piccolo's defenses while revealing potential weaknesses. Zangya's fighting style proved fascinatingly alien, her movements incorporating what appeared to be liquid flexibility impossible for humanoid physiology, her energy manipulation creating tangible constructs rather than simple blasts. King Piccolo defended against their coordinated assault with disturbing ease. Disappointing, he taunted, deflecting Kakarot's most powerful combination with contemptuous efficiency. The mighty Saiyan warrior barely registers as a worthy opponent. And you, he addressed Zangya while casually blocking her energy construct attack. The race of Hera was more impressive before. Your home system's third extinction event. Despite his provocations, the Demon King's combat assessment remained clinically precise. He identified the unique aspects of each opponent's technique, adapted his defenses accordingly, and steadily increased counter pressure until both warriors found themselves driven back by overwhelming force. Your individual capabilities are notable, Piccolo AC. Acknowledged as he launched simultaneous energy attacks that forced his opponents to defensive positions. But insufficient. This world will return to demon rule, as was always intended. Kakarot exchanged a brief glance with Zangya. Silent communication passing between warriors who recognized mutual disadvantage. Without verbal coordination, they simultaneously disengaged direct combat, creating distance while reassessing strategy. His power level continues increasing, Kakarot observed, wiping blood from a split lip, the first actual injury he'd sustained since establishing his empire. Conventional combat approach ineffective. Dimensional entities operate under different constraints, Zangya replied, her own azure skin showing burn marks from Piccolo's energy attacks. He's still stabilizing in this realm. Maximum power not yet achieved. Then strategic timing becomes critical, Kakarot concluded. His communication device activated with Bulma's urgent voice. Energy readings off the scale. Whatever that thing is, it's disrupting atmospheric conditions across the hemisphere. Weather patterns destabilizing, tectonic activity increasing along major fault lines. King Piccolo laughed, clearly overhearing the transmission. Merely side effects of my re-emergence. This planet remembers its true master. The elements themselves bow to demon royalty. Megalomaniacal psychological profile consistent with ancient texts. Kakarot noted with clinical detachment that masked strategic calculation. Exploitable weakness. Zangya raised an eyebrow, momentarily impressed by the Saiyan's analytical approach under pressure. Ego-based distraction while implementing alternative attack vector. Kakarot nodded once, their impromptu alliance solidifying through mutual tactical understanding. While Piccolo continued his self-aggrandizing monologue about reclaiming Earth, they implemented a more sophisticated approach than direct confrontation. Hey, jolly green giant, Zangya called, deliberately provocative. If you're so powerful, why hide in another dimension for centuries? Scared of human children, the Demon King's expression darkened dangerously. Insolent creature, I was imprisoned through treachery, not defeat. No mortal could stand against King Piccolo at full power. Evidence suggests otherwise, Kakarot added, deliberately stoking the demon's rage. Historical records indicate a single human master sealed you away. Apparently, this planet's martial arts traditions proved sufficient against demon royalty. Piccolo's power flared violently, his control slipping precisely as they had intended. Lies. Mutaito used forbidden techniques at the cost of his own life. No conventional power could match mine. While distracting the demon with precisely calibrated provocations, Kakarot and Zangya had been simultaneously gathering energy through their respective techniques, Kakarot implementing the Kamehameha's compression principles while Zangya formed what appeared Obi crystalline energy structures around her hands. Now, Kakarot commanded. Their combined attack launched with perfect synchronization, Kakarot's concentrated beam intersecting with Zangya's Krista. Energy barrage at precisely the point where Piccolo stood. The Demon King raised defensive barriers instantly, but their coordinated assault approached from calculated angles that maximized pressure against specific defensive weaknesses. For a moment, it appeared their strategy might succeed. Piccolo's barriers cracked under the combined pressure, energy bleeding through to impact the demon directly. His expression registered actual surprise, perhaps the first genuine emotion beyond arrogance he had displayed. Then, with disturbing speed, he adapted. His green skin rippled, absorbing rather than deflecting their energy attacks. The power they had intended to destroy him instead fueled further transformation, his musculature expanding, his height increasing, his features shifting towards something even less human. Foolish creatures, he growled, voice deeper and more resonant after the partial transformation. You think conventional energy attacks can harm a demon lord? I feed on power itself. With frightening speed, He launched counterattacks that exceeded his previous demonstrations. Kakarot barely evaded a blast that would have vaporized him completely, while Zangya took a Ching hit that sent her crashing through several ice formations. Tactical error, Kakarot acknowledged grimly. Energy-based attacks ineffective against his specific physiology. You think? Zangya replied sarcastically, pulling herself from the shattered ice. We need something beyond conventional ki manipulation. King Piccolo advanced toward them, gathering sickly green energy between his hands. Your combined power is impressive, but ultimately meaningless. This world returns to darkness today. Before he could launch his attack, a new voice cut through the frozen battlefield. Evil containment wave. All combatants turned toward the unexpected interruption. Floating above the battlefield was a diminutive figure in ceremonial robes, green-skinned like Piccolo but smaller, older, with an expression of grim determination rather than malevolence. Kami, King Piccolo hissed, genuine fear flashing across his features for the first time. My other half returns at last. The newcomer, apparently Earth's guardian Kami, mentioned in Master Roshi's ancient texts, held an ornate container before him, channeling swirling energy that distorted space itself around King Piccolo. Your freedom ends now, Evil One, Kami declared, his concentration visibly intense as he performed the technique Roshi had demonstrated but never fully executed. Return to your prison. The vortex of energy expanded, creating a powerful suction effect that began drawing King Piccolo toward the container despite his considerable resistance. The Demon King roared in fury and desperation, unleashing his full power. In attempt to break the technique's hold. No, I will not be imprisoned again. Piccolo directed devastating energy blasts toward Kami, threatening to break his concentration and disrupt the containment technique. Without verbal communication, Kakarot and Zangya moved to intercept these attacks, their bodies absorbing punishment meant for Earth's guardian. The unspoken alliance between Alien Wa, RRIORS had evolved from temporary convenience to strategic cooperation against a greater threat. The technique requires complete focus, Kakarot observed, analyzing the containment wave's properties. While deflecting Piccolo's increasingly desperate attacks, we must maintain defensive position until completion. Zangya nodded grimly, blood streaming from a wound on her forehead as she formed cries. Tall energy shields to absorb particularly powerful blasts. Never thought I'd die protecting a Saiyan. Death unlikely but possible, Kakarot acknowledged with the clinical detachment that characterized his approach even to personal risk. Strategic acceptance of possibility required for mission success. Despite their protection, Kami struggled visibly with the immense energy expenditure required for the containment technique. Piccolo's resistance proved stronger than anticipated, his connection to Earth's fundamental energies providing resources beyond conventional power sources. It's not working, Zangya shouted as she observed the Guardian's strength faltering. He can't complete the seal alone. Kakarot made an instantaneous tactical decision. Maintain defensive perimeter, he commanded, then flew directly toward Kami. Positioning himself behind the Guardian. What are you? Kami began, but Kakarot interrupted with characteristic directness. Your power insufficient, I will supplement. Without further explanation, he placed his hands on Kami's shoulders, channeling his considerable Saiyan energy directly into the Guardian's containment technique. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The vortex intensified tenfold, its pulling force increasing exponentially. King Piccolo's resistance, formidable though it was, began failing against the combined power of Saiyan Warrior and Earth's Guardian. No, the Demon King roared as his body distorted, drawn inexorably toward the containment vessel. This isn't over, I'll return. This world belongs to demons. With a final GE of combined power from Kakarot and Kami, the evil containment wave completed its function. Piccolo's form compressed, twisted, and funneled into the ceremonial container, his final roar of defiance. Cut short as Kami sealed the vessel with ancient symbols glowing with power. The sudden silence across the battlefield felt almost physical after the chaos of combat. Zangya approached cautiously as Kakarot released Kami. Both powerful beings visibly drained by the immense energy expenditure. Is it done? She questioned, eyeing the container with professional wariness. The seal holds, Kami confirmed, his ancient voice weary but satisfied. Though I could not have completed it without the Saiyan's assistance. He turned to Kakarot with curious assessment. Most unexpected, given your species' reputation. Tactical necessity. Kakarot replied simply. The demon's objectives conflicted with established territorial control. Cammy's lips curved in what might have been knowing amusement. Of course, purely strategic considerations. Before further discussion could develop, Bulma's voice came through Kakarot's communication device with renewed urgency. Multiple energy signatures detected entering Earth's atmosphere. Same vector as predicted for the incoming Saiyans, but weeks ahead of schedule. Kakarot's expression shifted to alert focus. Transmission confirmed. Coordinates. Imp. Act trajectory indicates landing approximately 200 kilometers west of your position in 17 minutes, Bulma reported, the sound of rapid mobilization audible in the background as her team implemented predetermined response protocols. Zangya studied Kakarot with newfound consideration. These would be the other Saiyan survivors you mentioned. Correct, Kakarot confirmed. Raditz, PR, assumably accompanied by elite warriors Nappa and Vegeta. Their purpose is verification of my conquest progress and execution if deemed insufficient. Charming species you come from, Zangya remarked dryly. Cammy, still recovering from the containment technique's energy demands, regarded both alien warriors with ancient wisdom. It seems Earth faces new challenges immediately upon resolving ancient ones. The pattern repeats throughout our history. Kakarot secured the sealed container holding King Piccolo, addressing Cammy directly. This vessel requires secure containment beyond conventional storage. Your lookout would be appropriate location. The Guardian nodded in agreement. I shall take it immediately. The demon's prison will be secured. He paused, studying Kakarot with penetrating assessment that suggested he perceived more than physical attributes. You have my gratitude for your assistance, Saiyan. Perhaps there is more to your presence on Earth than conquest alone. Strategic alliances serve mutual interests. Kakarot replied, his standard explanation for cooperation that might otherwise suggest emotional development. As Cammy departed with the contained Demon King, Kokoro, Chi turned to Zangya with direct assessment. Your combat capabilities proved significant against a Class 5 interdimensional entity. Similar effectiveness against Saiyan elites would be tactically advantageous. The Heron warrior raised an eyebrow. Are you offering me a job? Proposing mutually beneficial cooperation, Kakarot clarified. Your vendetta against Saiyans becomes irrelevant with species near extinction. Redirecting capabilities toward common enemies represents optimal resource allocation. Zangya laughed, a sound of genuine amusement rather than her previous cold derision. You really do think like a battle computer, don't you? She considered briefly before nodding. All right, Saiyan, temporary alliance extended through this new threat assessment. My vendetta can wait until I've seen these other representatives of your charming species. Their unlikely partnership established, they departed the battlefield toward the predicted landing site of the approaching Saiyan pods. Behind them, the impact crater from their battle with King Piccolo began filling with snowmelt, the landscape already reclaiming territory disrupted by supernatural conflict. In Kakarot's mobile command center, his inner circle prepared for potentially civilization-altering confrontation. Bulma coordinated global monitoring systems, tracking the incoming vessels with technology enhanced by Dr. Gero's reluctant contributions. Chi-Chi prepared elite response teams, knowing even her best-trained warriors would likely serve only supportive functions against full-blooded Saiyan invaders. Krill and I implemented defensive perimeter protocols while both versions of launch, alternating through periodic sneezes, prepared medical response teams and infiltration contingencies respectively. As Kakarot's Empire faced its first extraterrestrial challenge, Earth's fate balanced precariously between competing alien interests. The Saiyan who had come to conquer now stood as its primary defender, not from newfound benevolence, but from the complex evolution of purpose that had transformed him from program destroyer to strategic emperor. The sky burned once again with the arrival of spacefaring vessels. 3 impact trails marking the approach of warriors from a nearly extinct race. Whatever emerged from those pods would find not the conquered planet they expected, but a world transformed by one saw. Ian's deviation from programming, a world where conquest had evolved into something more complex than mere subjugation. As Kakarot observed the approaching vessels with his newest ally beside him, his expression revealed nothing of internal calculations. But those who knew him best would have recognized the subtle shift in his posture, the stance not of a conqueror facing judgment, but of an emperor defending his domain. The conquest of Earth had indeed been terminated. What would follow might reshape not just one planet, but the power structure of the galaxy itself. Chapter 3. Blood and Stars. 3 impact craters scarred the western wastelands, still smoking under the cold afternoon sun. Unlike the controlled landing of Zangia's crystalline vessel or the dimensional rift that had heralded King Piccolo's arrival, these new visitors had announced their presence with characteristic Saiyan subtlety, maximum velocity impact without concern for environmental consequences. Kakarot surveyed the arrival site from strategic elevation, Zangia hovering beside him with arms crossed skeptically. Below, his empire's response teams maintained precise defensive formations, Chi-Chi commanding the ground forces with martial efficiency, Krillin coordinating aerial support units, while Launch's blue-haired persona supervised medical contingencies from armored mobile units. From the command center 10 kilometers distant, Bulma monitored energy readings and maintained tactical communications. Your species certainly knows how to make an entrance, Zangia observed dryly. The galaxy's most dramatic. Arrivals for the galaxy's most dramatic warriors. Efficiency prioritized over discretion, Kakarot replied, though a hint of something like embarrassment colored his tone. Standard Saiyan protocol, and this is your brother, Zangia verified, studying the largest crater as its dust began to settle. Biological relation unconfirmed, Kakarot stated. Raditz claimed fraternal connection in his transmission. Genetic verification required for absolute confirmation. The Heron warrior shook her head slightly. Most people would show more emotion about meeting a potentially long-lost sibling. I am not most people. That, Zangia acknowledged with a hint of reluctant respect, is becoming increasingly apparent. Movement from the craters interrupted their exchange. 3 figures emerged simultaneously, ascending to hover above their respective impact sites, a coordinated emergence that suggested professional military discipline. The central figure, presumably the leader, wore white and gold armor over a blue bodysuit, with flame-shaped hair standing rigidly upward. Despite being physically the smallest of the 3, his energy signature radiated authority and lethal capability. To his right floated a massive, bald warrior with a distinctive mustache, wearing similar armor over more substantial musculature. The third figure, positioned slightly behind the others, had long wild hair reaching past his waist, likely Raditz based on physical similarities to Kakarot himself. Prince Vegeta, Kakarot identified the leader, information gleaned from his POD's historical records. Elite Commander Nappa, and Raditz, mid-class warrior. You recognize them? Zangia questioned. Identification based on visual comparison with historical data, Kakarot clarified. No previous personal interaction. The 3 Saiyan warriors surveyed their surroundings with professional assessment, clearly noting the defensive formations Kakarot had established. After brief consultation among themselves, they ascended toward Kakarot's position with measured approach, neither rushing to attack nor displaying overt hostility. Well, the leader, Vegeta, spoke first as they halted at conversational distance. Kakarot, I presume, you've grown considerably since your infant deployment. Confirmed, Kakarot replied with formal neutrality. Raditz studied him with unmistakable interest. The resemblance to our father is striking. Same hair, same scowl. A hint of something almost sentimental crossed his features. Bardock would have been pleased to see you completed your mission. My mission parameters have been modified, Kakarot stated directly, seeing no tactical advantage in deception. Earth remains unconquered in traditional terms. Vegeta's expression shifted to dangerous assessment. Explain yourself, low class. Your assignment was explicit. Conquer this planet for Lord Frieza's empire. Yet I sense millions of native life forms still existing. And what's this? Nappa interjected, gesturing toward Zangia with suspicious hostility. A heron. I thought we wiped out that troublesome race decades ago. Evidently your genocide skills need refinement, Zangia replied with cold smile. Much like your personal hygiene, judging from here. Nappa's energy flared with instant rage, but Vegeta raised a hand to restrain him. Control yourself. We assess the situation before engaging. He returned his attention to Kakarot. You have 30 seconds to explain your failure before I determine whether you're worth salvaging or merely another disappointment requiring elimination. Kakarot measured his response carefully. The approaching Saiyans had been a known variable for months, sufficient time to develop multiple strategic approaches to this confrontation. The truth had tactical advantages over deception in this specific scenario. Earth contains resources more valuable than its real estate, he began, his tone reflecting strategic assessment rather than pleading. Advanced martial arts techniques, technological innovation capabilities, and genetic diversity with potential for enhancement. Preservation of these assets proved more efficient than complete subjugation. Vegeta's eyes narrowed slightly, not with anger, but calculation. You're claiming tactical adaptation rather than mission failure. Correct, Kakarot confirmed. I've established sovereign control over 64% of planetary territory, maintaining selective preservation of valuable resources and capabilities. Raditz looked torn between confusion and something approaching pride. You established your own empire instead of clearing the planet. That's not the mission, idiot, Nappa growled. We don't alter Frieza's orders. We follow them. A distinction requiring clarification, Kakarot interjected. I possess information regarding Frieza's actual intentions toward the Saiyan race. This captured Vegeta's attention immediately. What information? Lord Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta. Our homeworld is gone, our race nearly extinct by his direct action. The revelation landed with seismic impact. Nappa's expression transformed from contempt to shock, while Raditz physically recoiled as though struck. Vegeta's reaction proved most controlled, a tightening around his eyes, a subtle clenching of his jaw, but otherwise maintaining regal composure. Impossible, Nappa finally declared. Though uncertainty undermined his denial. Planet Vegeta was destroyed by meteor impact. Lord Frieza himself informed the survivors. Frieza lied, Kakarot stated flatly. He feared an evolutionary potential and eliminated the perceived threat. Your evidence, Vegeta demanded, his voice dangerously quiet. Cosmic-level verification through artifact-based divination, Kakarot replied. At Vegeta's skeptical expression, he elaborated. This planet contains objects of significant mystical power. I utilized them to obtain absolute confirmation of historical events beyond conventional verification methods. Before the conversation could continue, Bulma's urgent voice came through Kakarot's communication device. Multiple energy fluctuations detected. Something's happening too. The dimensional boundaries, similar to King Piccolo's emergence but broader in spectrum. All 5 warriors immediately shifted attention skyward as atmospheric disturbances manifested across the visible horizon. Unlike the localized rift that had released the Demon King, these distortions appeared at multiple points simultaneously, reality itself seeming to thin between dimensions. What fresh hell is this? Zhangya muttered, her combat experience with interdimensional phenomena making her particularly sensitive to the disturbances. The barriers between realms aren't supposed to weaken this extensively without deliberate intervention. Power concentration, Kakarot assessed, making connections between disparate data points with characteristic analytical precision. 5 warriors with cosmic-level energy signatures in proximity. Following recent dimensional breach and containment. Systemic strain on reality parameters. In normal person language, Zhangya translated for the other Saiyan's benefit. Too much power in one place is tearing holes in reality. Vegeta scoffed dismissively. Dimensional boundaries are the concern of lesser beings, not Saiyan elites. He refocused on Kakarot with renewed intensity. Your claim about Frieza requires verification before further discussion. Where is your evidence beyond mystical nonsense? Before Kakarot could respond, the largest dimensional rift expanded dramatically, forming a visible portal approximately 50 meters in diameter. Unlike the sickly green energy that had heralded King Piccolo's arrival, this aperture glowed with warm amber light, pulsing with what appeared to be living flame. From this portal emerged a figure of striking presence, female in form but clearly not human. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with skin the color of burnished copper. Her features combined ageless beauty with unmistakable authority. Her hair, appearing as living flame rather than biological material, cascaded to her waist in constantly shifting patterns of orange and gold. Her attire suggested ceremonial significance, flowing robes of crimson and amber adorned with symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Most Rima, our cable was the power signature she radiated, not combat energy in the conventional sense, but something more fundamental, as though reality itself responded to her presence rather than merely the physical forces within it. The boundaries were not meant to sustain such strain, she announced, her voice resonating with harmonics that suggested multiple speakers simultaneously. The furnace of 8 divisions weakens with each cosmic convergence. Kakarot recognized the reference immediately. Anan, he identified, guardian of the barrier between living and spirit realms. The flame-haired entity inclined her head slightly, acknowledging his identification. The Saiyan remembers the ancient texts. Unexpected but appreciated. What is this nonsense? Vegeta demanded, his patience visibly thinning. We are discussing matters of Saiyan importance. Mystical distractions are irrelevant. Anan's gaze shifted to Vegeta, her expression cooling noticeably. The prince speaks with his father's arrogance but without his wisdom. Before Vegeta could respond to this unexpected knowledge of his lineage, she continued, the boundaries between realms are not mystical nonsense, young Saiyan. The why are fundamental cosmic architecture upon which existence itself depends. And they're collapsing, Zhengya observed, her species' greater familiarity with interdimensional phenomena allowing faster comprehension. Because we're all here, in one place, with power levels that reality wasn't designed to contain. Precisely, Anan confirmed. Her gaze swept across the assembled warriors. 5 beings of cosmic potential, gathered on a nexus world already strained by recent dimensional breaches. The consequences extend beyond this single planet. Kakarot processed this information with characteristic efficiency. The dimensional instability threatens broader cosmic structure. Potential threat to established territorial control. Anan's lips curved slightly at his pragmatic assessment. Indeed, your empire faces extinction not from conquest but cosmic dissolution if the boundaries fail completely. This framing, threat to established power rather than abstract mystical concern, immediately captured the attention of all Saiyans present. Even Vegeta's skepticism shifted toward strategic assessment. What precisely occurs if these boundaries collapse? The Saiyan prince questioned. Reality bleeding, Anan explained, gesturing toward smaller rifts now visible across the horizon. Dimensions not meant to interact directly begin overlapping. Entities from realms beyond physical comprehension gain access to material existence. Fundamental forces destabilize, rendering conventional physics increasingly unreliable. As if to demonstrate her point, one of the smaller rifts expanded suddenly, releasing what appeared to be atmospheric lightning except colored deep purple and moving with apparent intelligence rather than natural dispersion patterns. The energy construct streaked toward the nearest human defensive formation before Kakarot intercepted it with a precisely aimed ki blast, neutralizing the dimensional anomaly. Effective intervention, Anan acknowledged. But such manifestations will increase exponentially as boundary integrity continues degrading. The solution seems obvious, Raditz suggested with Saiyan directness. We disperse to different regions, reducing power concentration. Temporary mitigation only, Anan countered. The cosmic architecture has been fundamentally compromised by repeated strain. Mere dispersion delays rather than prevents catastrophic failure. Vegeta's patience visibly thinned. Enough vague mysticism. What specific action resolves this situation permanently? Anan's flame hair pulsed with momentary intensity, perhaps the equivalent of an irritated sigh. The furnace of 8 divisions requires recalibration and reinforcement. As its guardian, I possess the knowledge but insufficient power to implement necessary adjustments alone. You require our assistance, Kakarot deduced. Specifically, controlled application of our combined energy signature. Precisely, Anan confirmed. Directed through proper channels, our collective power could reinforce rather than strain the dimensional boundaries. Vegeta scoffed openly. Absurd. Saiyans are warriors, not mystical maintenance workers. We have more important matters to address. He turned to Kakarot. Your claim regarding Frieza demands immediate attention. If verified, strategic reassessment of our relationship to the Cold Empire becomes necessary. The two concerns are not separate. Kakarot observed with characteristic analytical precision. Dimensional stability ensures continued existence in which to pursue vengeance against Frieza. This framing gave Vegeta pause. Despite his dismissal of mystical concerns, the strategic prioritization made logical sense. One cannot exact revenge if reality itself dissolves. Fine, the prince conceded with evident reluctance. We address this boundary nonsense first, then return to matters of actual Saiyan importance. He turned to Anan with barely contained impatience. What specifically must be done? The Dimensional Guardian extended her hand, creating a shimmering portal different from the rift's threatening reality. The furnace requires direct intervention at its core. We must travel to its nexus point immediately. I'll coordinate defensive responses here. Bulma's voice came through Kakarot's communication device, having monitored the entire exchange. Chi-Chi and Krillin can contain meant protocols for any additional dimensional incursions while you address the source. Acceptable, Kakarot confirmed, making rapid tactical calculations. Zhangya's experience with interdimensional phenomena makes her presence necessary. All three Saiyans possess power levels required for successful intervention. I'm coming too, announced a new voice as Chi-Chi landed beside them, having ascended from her command position below. Her expression brooked no argument. My father's scrolls contained references to the Furnace of 8 Divisions. I have knowledge that may prove relevant. Kakarot. She assessed her capability and determination with a single glance, then nodded once. Your inclusion improves success probability. How touching, Vegeta remarked sarcastically. The Saiyan Conqueror consults with native species regarding tactical decisions. Effective leadership incorporates all available strategic assets, Kakarot replied without defensiveness. A principal planet Vegeta's Millie. Cherry's structure often overlooked to its detriment. Before Vegeta could respond to this veiled criticism, Anan expanded her portal to accommodate multiple travelers. The boundary weakens further with each passing moment. We must proceed immediately. The unlikely alliance. 4 Saiyans, 1 Heron warrior, 1 human martial artist, and a dimensional guardian, stepped through the portal into a realm beyond conventional physical existence. The transition felt both instantaneous and eternal, their consciousness stretching across dimensional planes before reconstituting in a space that defied ordinary description. The Furnace of 8 Divisions manifested not as the literal hearth its name suggested, but as a vast multidimensional nexus where planes of existence overlapped and intersected in patterns of cosmic significance. Living fire formed the primary medium of this realm, but unlike earthly flame, it burned in impossible colors and moved with apparent consciousness. Massive pillars of CR. Estalized reality stretched beyond perception, each representing foundational support for different dimensional planes. At the nexus center floated what appeared to be an actual furnace, though of proportions and design beyond mortal engineering. Its surface rippled with symbols from civilizations that had evolved and perished before Earth had cooled from primordial magma, its structure simultaneously physical and metaphysical. The cosmic furnace, Anan identified as they manifested on a platform of solidified flame. Nexus point for 8 primary dimensional boundaries. The damage is worse than anticipated. Even the Saiyans, normally dismissive of matters beyond combat significance, fell momentarily silent at the spectacle before them. Visible cracks spread across multiple support pillars. Interdimensional energy leaking through in patterns that suggested systemic rather than localized failure. These fractures correspond with significant power events on Earth, Anan explained, moving toward the central furnace with practiced grace. The initial arrival of a Saiyan infant, minor but notable. The full moon transformations during formative years, more substantial. Recent gathering of multiple cosmic-level entities, catastrophic acceleration. The Uzaru transformation affects dimensional boundaries. Raditz questioned with genuine curiosity. All power manifestations beyond CE. RTAIN thresholds impact cosmic architecture, Anan confirmed. Saiyan transformations particularly so, given your species' unique evolutionary history. This cryptic reference captured Vegeta's attention immediately. Explain that statement. Anan regarded the prince with ancient eyes that had witnessed civilizations rise and fall across multiple realities. You believe Saiyans evolved naturally on planet Vegeta, through conventional biological processes. Of course, Nappa interjected. We're the apex predators of our world. Natural selection at its finest. A sound like wind through Christ. Al chimes might have been Anan's version of laughter. The Saiyan race was engineered, not evolved. Created specifically to channel and contain certain cosmic energies that would otherwise destabilize reality. This revelation landed with seismic impact among the Saiyan contingent. Vegeta's expression shifted from skepticism to shocked reassessment, while Raditz and Nappa exchanged stunned glances. Kakarot alone remained outwardly composed, though his tail's movement betrayed heightened interest. Engineered by whom? Kakarot questioned, his analytical mind immediately seeking verification parameters. The Kais, Gods of creation who maintain cosmic order, Anan replied, moving her hands in complex patterns that adjusted ethereal controls on the central furnace. They recognized certain RGY patterns could not be eliminated from existence without creating greater instability. Instead, they created biological vessels capable of containing and channeling these energies in sustainable forms. You're claiming Saiyans are some kind of living energy regulators? Zangya asked skeptically. More precisely, they are cosmic pressure valves, Anan clarified. Their transformations, particle, Arli the Uzaru form, release controlled amounts of otherwise dangerous energy into channels designed to reinforce rather than damage dimensional boundaries. When properly directed, Chi-Chi deduced, her scholarly understanding of mystical texts allowing faster comprehension than the others. The transformations become destructive when performed without proper guidance or control. Precisely, Anan confirmed. The Kais created the Saiyan race with specific energy manipulation capabilities, but over generations, the knowledge of their true purpose was lost. They became warriors rather than guardians, using their power for conquest instead of cosmic maintenance. Vegeta's expression darkened dangerously. You expect us to believe Saiyans exist to be interdimensional maintenance workers? Absurd. We are warriors, conquerors by nature and design. You are warriors by choice and conditioning, Anan corrected without concern for his evident anger. Your biological capabilities were designed for greater purpose, which you abandoned for mere planetary conquest. If this is true, Kakarot interjected before Vegeta's pride could further derail the discussion, it explains Frieza's decision to eliminate planet Vegeta. Not merely fear of conventional Saiyan strength, but recognition of deeper potential that threatened his position in cosmic hierarchy. Anan nodded in acknowledgement. The Cold Empire possesses ancient knowledge lost to most species. Frieza understood enough to recognize the threat but not enough to harness it properly. Enough theoretical discussion, Vegeta declared impatiently. What specific action is required to repair these boundaries and return to matters of actual importance? The furnace requires recalibration using Saiyan energy channeled through proper configurations, Anan explained, gesturing toward 4 cardinal positions around the central nexus. You must transform into Uzaru form, but with conscious control rather than berserker rage, Erecting the energy release through specific patterns I will demonstrate. Impossible, Nappa objected immediately. Uzaru transformation requires full moonlight, which doesn't exist in this dimension. The furnace can generate the required Blutz waves, Anan countered. But control during transformation is essential. Uncontrolled Uzaru energy would accelerate destruction rather than repair boundaries. I maintain full consciousness during transformation, Vegeta stated with evident pride. As befits Saiyan royalty. As do I, Kakarot added, earning surprised glances from the other Saiyans. Controlled transformation was necessary for efficient territorial management. Raditz looked uncomfortable. I've never maintained complete control in Uzaru form. Nor I, Nappa admitted reluctantly. Not with absolute reliability. Quote, Anan considered this complication. 2 controlled transformations may prove sufficient if properly augmented. She turned to Zangya and Chi-Chi. The Herons, crystalline energy manipulation and the humans' key purification techniques could potentially stabilize and direct the transformation energy of the less controlled Saiyans. You're suggesting we, what? Babysit giant rampaging space monkeys? Zangya questioned incredulously. I'm suggesting you help channel their considerable power through appropriate matrices, Anan clarified with evident patience. Unless you prefer cosmic dissolution as an alternative. Faced with such stark options, even Zangya's skepticism yielded to pragmatism. Fine, but if I get stepped on by a giant ape, I'm holding you personally responsible. Anan's flame hair pulsed with something like amusement before she moved to the furnace controls, initiating sequences that adjusted the realm's metaphysical properties. The space around them shifted subtly, certain energies becoming more prominent while others receded. The Blutz wave generation will commence momentarily, she explained, directing each Saiyan to specific positions around the central furnace. When transformation begins, focus your consciousness on the patterns I will project into your minds. Direction matters more than raw power in this context. As the Saiyans took their positions, Anan assigned Zangya to partner with Raditz while Chi-Chi would work with Nappa. Your energy signatures show greatest compatibility with these pairings, she explained. Maximum efficiency is essential for successful boundary repair. This is utterly absurd, Vegeta muttered, though he positioned himself as directed. Saiyan Elite reduced to cosmic maintenance duty. Consider its strategic resource management, Kakarot suggested pragmatically. Dimensional stability ensures continued existence in which to pursue vengeance against Frieza. This framing, once again resonated with Vegeta's tactical mind, tempering his objections somewhat. As the Saiyans prepared for transformation, Anan turned to Chi-Chi with unexpected directness. You understand what's truly at risk, don't you? Beyond the physical realm. Chi-Chi nodded solemnly. The scrolls in my father's collection spoke of cosmic balance, how dimensional boundaries protect not just physical existence but spiritual progression. If the boundaries fail completely, souls themselves would be disrupted in their natural cycle, Anan confirmed. Neither life nor death would maintain coherence. Existence itself unravels rather than merely physical destruction. This quiet exchange, though unheard by the others, reflected the deeper understanding Chi-Chi had developed through her scholarly pursuits, knowledge that complemented her warrior training and made her a uniquely valuable participant in this cosmic intervention. The furnace began generating artificial Blutz waves, the specific N-G frequency that triggered Saiyan transformation. As the waves washed over the four Saiyans, their bodies responded immediately. Eyes turned crimson, facial features elongated, muscular mass increased dramatically as the transformation initiated. For Kakarot and Vegeta, the process maintained a controlled progression, their consciousness visibly preserved despite the dramatic physical changes. For Raditz and Nappa, the transformation appeared more chaotic, bestial rage threatening to overwhelm rational thought as they expanded to massive Uzaru form. Now, Anan commanded as the transformations completed. Zangya immediately implemented her species-unique energy manipulation, creating crystalline structures that captured and channeled Raditz's chaotic power emissions. The technique Riku I read exceptional precision, allowing the raw energy to flow while redirecting its pattern through configurations Anan projected into her consciousness. Simultaneously, Chi-Chi utilized the most advanced Edki purification methods from her father's ancient scrolls, establishing a harmonic resonance with Nappa's transformation energy that gradually brought his chaotic emissions into controlled alignment. At the cardinal positions, Vegeta and Kakarot maintained conscious control of their Uzaru forms, directing enormous power through patterns Anan established, their energy flowing not outward in destructive waves but inward toward the furnace in precisely calibrated streams. The spectacle defied conventional description. Four massive Uzaru forms channeling power that existed simultaneously as physical force and metaphysical principle. Their energy restructuring reality's foundational architecture rather than simply affecting objects within it. As the process intensified, Anan moved to the furnace's core controls, adjusting metaphysical parameters to maximize efficiency. The boundaries begin to stabilize, she announced, her voice carrying despite the tremendous energies being channeled. The repair sequence progresses as designed. For several minutes that felt simultaneously instantaneous and eternal, the cosmic recalibration continued. The visible cracks in reality's support pillars gradually sealed, dimensional leakage receding as boundaries reinforced themselves with properly channeled Saiyan energy. Then, without warning, a support pillar representing Earth's primary diamond Sional anchor developed a new fracture, different from the previous damage pattern. Something's wrong, Anan announced, alarm evident in her normally composed voice. External interference disrupts the repair sequence. Explain, Kakarot demanded, his voice distorted through Uzaru transformation but consciousness fully preserved. Something on Earth actively damages the boundary, Anan clarified, making rapid adjustments to compensate. A power source not present when we departed is generating dimensional instability. Chi-Chi, maintaining her key harmonization with Nappa's chaotic energy, reached a sudden realization. King Piccolo's container. If someone released him during our absence. Impossible, Kakarot countered. The demon remains sealed in Kami's lookout under maximum security protocols. Not Piccolo, Anan corrected, her perception extending across dimensional boundaries. Something else. Something mechanical attempting to harness interdimensional energy. Realizat. Ion dawned on multiple faces simultaneously. Jero, Zangya identified, still maintaining her crystalline control matrix around Raditz's energy. That mechanical monstrosity must have had backup systems we didn't detect. Our Commander Red implemented contingency protocols, Kakarot added, his strategic mind making connections despite maintaining Uzaru control. Weaponizing dimensional energy against the Protectorate. Whatever the source, it must be neutralized immediately, Anon declared with absolute authority. The repair sequence cannot complete while active interference continues. All return to Earth. Chi-Chi volunteered immediately. I can locate and disable whatever's causing the disruption. Impossible, Anon countered. Your energy is essential to controlling the transformation matrix. None can be spared from current assignments without compromising the entire repair sequence. A tense silence followed as they processed this tactical dilemma. Then, unexpectedly, Ta spoke through his controlled Uzaru form. There is another option, the Saiyan Prince suggested, his voice rumbling with transformation distortion. The cosmic recalibration approaches 90% completion. If 3 fully controlled Uzaru forms could maintain the matrix, the 4th could return to neutralize the interference. Kakarot completed the tactical assessment. Logical but requires me to achieve complete consciousness control, Raditz interrupted, his Uzaru form still partially restrained by Zangyu's crystal matrix. I understand. What followed was unprecedented in Saiyan history, a conscious effort to master transformation control through sheer force of will rather than gradual training. Raditz focused his considerable determination on a single objective. Maintaining rational consciousness through bestial transformation. Your bloodline possesses greater control potential than typically acknowledged, Anon observed as she monitored his efforts. Your father, Bardock, demonstrated similar capabilities toward the end. This revelation seemed to strengthen Raditz's resolve. With visible effort, his crimson eyes cleared from bestial rage to focused intelligence. The random energy emissions stabilized, shifting from chaotic bursts to controlled flow. I maintain control, Raditz announced, each word carefully formed through Uzaru vocal street. Ruptures not designed for precise speech. Release the crystal matrix. Zangyu looked to Anon for confirmation before carefully dissolving her restraining energy structure. To everyone's evident surprise, Raditz maintained perfect control, his massive Uzaru form standing with disciplined posture rather than berserker rage. Unprecedented, Vegeta acknowledged with reluctant respect. Perhaps low-class Saiyans possess untapped potential after all. With Raditz now consciously controlling his transformation, Zangyu was freed from restraint duty. I'll return to Earth and eliminate whatever's causing the interference, she declared with professional confidence. The dimensional aperture requires precise navigation, Anon cautioned, creating a targeted portal. Follow the energy signature X. Actly or risk materializing inside solid matter. Zangyu nodded grimly, then stepped through the portal without hesitation, her centuries of experience with interdimensional travel evident in her confident departure. As the portal closed behind her, the remaining participants refocused on maintaining the repair sequence. With 3 Saiyans now in fully controlled Uzaru form, the process accelerated noticeably. Chi-Chi continued harmonizing Nappa's still partially chaotic energy, though his control had improved through exposure to the other's disciplined approach. The boundaries stabilize in most sectors, Anon reported, monitoring cosmic architecture with senses beyond conventional perception. Assuming successful interference neutralization, complete repair appears achievable. On Earth, Zangyu materialized precisely at the calculated coordinates, Red Ribbon Army's secondary research facility, previously believed destroyed during Kakarot's expansion campaign. The installation hummed with ominous energy as massive generators channeled power into what appeared to be a dimensional aperture device, clearly derived from stolen components of Kakarot's original pod combined with Dr. Gero's cybernetic innovations. Impressive for primitive technology, Zangyu muttered to herself as she assessed the situation from concealed position. Dangerously misapplied, but impressive nonetheless. The facility's security systems, designed to detect conventional intruders, proved inadequate against Heron infiltration techniques. Zangyu moved through defensive perimeters with practiced efficiency, neutralizing human guards with precisely calculated force, not killing, she noted with some surprise at her own restraint, but efficiently incapacitating. At the facility's core, she discovered the source of dimensional interference, a massive apparatus drawing energy directly from interdimensional boundaries, harvesting power never meant for technological application. More disturbing was the parent purpose of this harvesting, a weapons system designed specifically to target Saiyan biology. Trying to build anti-Saiyan weapons by draining cosmic boundaries, Zhengya assessed with professional disapproval. Short-sighted even by human standards. The facility's scientific director, not Jero himself, but clearly one of his protégés, noticed her presence too late. Before he could activate security protocols, Zhengya had crossed the laboratory and restrained him with casual strength. "Your experiment ends now," she informed him coolly. "It's destabilizing reality itself, which seems an excessive price for weapons development." "You don't understand," the scientist protested, genuine conviction in his voice. "The Saiyan Protectorate threatens human independence. This technology is our only hope against alien domination." "Your only hope is tearing holes in reality," Zhengya corrected, her expression revealing genuine concern beneath professional detachment. "There are less catastrophic ways to resist conquest." Without further debate, she systematically disabled the dimensional aperture device, rerouting power systems to prevent catastrophic feedback while ensuring complete deactivation. The process required precise technical knowledge, skills acquired through centuries of interdimensional travel that made her uniquely qualified for this intervention. As the device powered down, reality itself seemed to exhale in relief, subtle distortions in the laboratory's ambient light normalizing as dimensional pressure equalized. Zhengya's communication device activated with Bulma's voice, CE conveying confirmation from the furnace realm. Interference neutralized. Boundary repair sequence proceeding to completion without further complications. In the furnace of 8 divisions, the null phase of cosmic recalibration progressed with remarkable efficiency. The 3 controlled Uzaru transformations channeled energy in perfect harmony with the furnace's requirements, while Chi-Chi's continued harmonization brought Nappa's transformation steadily closer to complete conscious control. "The primary boundaries are fully restored," Anan announced as support pillars solidified to crystalline perfection. Secondary interdimensional pathways re-establishing normal parameters. The crisis approaches resolution. As the repair sequence concluded, the artificial Blutz waves generated by the furnace gradually dissipated, allowing the 4 Saiyans to revert to their standard forms. The transformation reversal occurred with controlled precision for Vegeta, Kakarot, and Raditz, a testament to their unprecedented mastery. Even Nappa managed a more controlled reversion than his typical post-transformation recovery. That, Raditz declared with evident pride as he resumed humanoid form, was actual control. Not just rage directed at convenient targets. Adequate for a first conscious effort, Vegeta acknowledged with characteristic royal understatement. "Perhaps our bloodline's CA city for transformation control extends beyond previously established parameters." As the Saiyans recovered from their transformation exertion, Anan approached with formal solemnity. "The cosmic boundaries are restored to functional parameters. The immediate crisis has been resolved. Then our business here is concluded," Vegeta declared, already refocusing on his primary concerns. "We return to discuss the Frieza situation immediately." Anan raised one flame-adorned hand. "Before departure, there is knowledge you should possess, context for decisions that now face your species." Despite his impatience, Vegeta recognized the value of information from a being of Anan's cosmic position. With reluctant nod, he indicated she should proceed. "The Saiyan race stands at evolutionary crossroads," Anan began, her voice resonating with importance beyond mere conversation. "Your species was created with specific cosmic purpose, yet diverged from that purpose through historical circumstance and external manipulation. Now, with planet Vegeta destroyed and only a handful of your kind remaining, a choice presents itself." "What choice?" Kakarot inquired, his analytical mind immediately seeking parameters. "Whether to reclaim your original cosmic purpose as guardians of dimensional boundaries, or continue as conquerors serving no function beyond territorial acquisition," Anan explained. "The former grants your species cosmic significance beyond mere physical dominance. The latter continues the path that led to your near extinction." "Saiyans require no cosmic significance," Vegeta objected predictably. "We are warriors by nature and choice. You are warriors by conditioning and circumstance," Anan corrected without concern for his evident irritation. "Your biological capabilities were designed for greater purpose." Chi-Chi, who had remained respectfully silent during this exchange, finally spoke. "The ancient scrolls in my father's collection mentioned Cosmic Guardians WH. O transformed between forms as bridges between realms. I always assumed it was metaphorical. Now I understand they referred to the original Saiyan purpose. Anan inclined her head in acknowledgement. Your scholarly understanding exceeds most of your species. Indeed, Saiyans were intended as living bridges between physical and metaphysical realms, their transformations serving as regulated energy transfer mechanisms to maintain cosmic stability. And Frieza somehow knew this, Kakarot deduced, connecting scattered information into coherent pattern. Not the complete truth perhaps, but enough to recognize Saiyans represented potential beyond his control. Precisely, Anan confirmed. The Cold Empire possesses ancient knowledge passed through generations. Frieza recognized enough to fear Saiyan potential without understanding how to harness it properly. This revelation cast the destruction of planet Vegeta in new light, not merely fear of conventional Saiyan strength, but recognition of deeper cosmic significance that threatened Frieza's position in universal hierarchy. Fascinating historical context, Vegeta acknowledged with minimal patience, but irrelevant to current strategic priorities. Frieza destroyed our homeworld and nearly exterminated our race. Vengeance takes precedence over cosmic maintenance duty. The two objectives need not be mutually exclusive. Kakarot O.B. served with characteristic analytical precision. Reclaiming original Saiyan purpose potentially provides advantages in confronting Frieza's empire. This framing captured Vegeta's tactical attention. Explain. Access to interdimensional capabilities beyond conventional combat power, Kakarot elaborated. Strategic positioning beyond physical space-time limitations. Potential allies among Cosmi-C entities with similar investment in dimensional stability. For the first time, Vegeta appeared to consider these implications with genuine strategic assessment rather than dismissive arrogance. You suggest weaponizing our supposed cosmic purpose against Frieza. I suggest optimizing all available resources toward primary objective, Kakarot clarified. Efficient tactical approach. Anan Ob served this exchange with ancient patience, recognizing the significant evolution it represented. Saiyans considering their cosmic purpose not as subordination to mystical hierarchy but as potential strategic advantage. The choice remains yours, she stated as she prepared a portal for their return to Earth. But understand that choice extends beyond immediate tactical considerations to the fundamental future of your species. As they prepared to depart the Furnace Realm, Chi-Chi approached Kakarot with uncharacteristic hesitation. What you've learned here, about Saiyan origins and purpose, does it change your intentions for Earth? The question contained layers of meaning beyond its surface inquiry. Kakarot considered it with the same analytical thoroughness he applied to all tactical assessments. Information alters strategic parameters, he acknowledged. Earth's significance extends beyond territorial value to cosmic positioning. Preservation rather than conquest becomes logical priority. Coming from Kakarot, this represented monumental evolution in perspective. Not sudden moral transformation, but strategic reassessment based on expanded knowledge that produced similar practical outcome. Chi-Chi's expression revealed she understood the significance of this shift. Then the protectorate concept evolves as well. Necessarily, Kakarot confirmed. From conquered territory to cosmic nexus point. From subjugated population to potential participants in interdimensional stability maintenance. For those who had witnessed Kakarot's evolution from programmed conqueror to strategic emperor. This represented the most significant transformation yet, a fundamental reassessment of purpose and priority that, while framed in tactical language, reflected deeper philosophical development than he would likely ever acknowledge. Their return to Earth through Anan's portal manifested them at the original confrontation site, where Bulma's command center had expanded into a comprehensive monitoring station tracking dimensional stability across the hemisphere. Zangya had already returned, providing detailed assessment of the Red Ribbon Army's dimensional interference attempt. Our technology has been neutralized and their research secured, she reported with professional efficiency. Primitive but innovative adaptation of interdimensional principles. The immediate crisis appears resolved, Bulma confirmed, monitoring atmospheric readings that showed normalized dimensional parameters. Though certain instabilities may persist for several days while reality fully recalibrates. With the cosmic emergency addressed, attention inevitably returned to the unresolved matter that had preceded it, Kakarot's revelation about Frieza's destruction of planet Vegeta and the Strateg. I see implications for the surviving Saiyans. We require private counsel to address Saiyan matters, Vegeta declared, his royal authority reasserting itself now that immediate crisis had passed. Kakarot, you will provide complete details regarding Frieza's actions against our homeworld. Before formal discussion could commence, however, an unexpected sneeze announced transformation from Blue Launch to her blonde counterpart. The shift in personality arrived with characteristic dramatic timing. Well, Blonde Launch observed, assessing the three newly arrived Saiyans with professional interest. So these are the space monkeys everyone's been waiting for. Not bad. Especially the short angry one. She winked at Vegeta with brazen disregard for his royal status. You must be the prince I've heard about. Nice hair. Vegeta's expression registered shock followed by indignation at such casual irreverence. What manner of disrespectful creature is this? That's Launch, Kakarot explained with uncharacteristic patience. Tactical security specialist with unique biological duality. Her personality alternates between forms with complementary capabilities. Complementary capabilities is right, Launch agreed with wicked grin. Blue Me handles the boring stuff like medicine and organization. I handle the fun stuff like advanced security penetration and making stuffy aliens uncomfortable. She approached Vegeta with provocative confidence. Anyone ever tell you that scowl is actually kind of attractive? The whole royal rage thing really works. Nappa appeared scandalized by such disrespect, while Raditz watched with barely concealed amusement. Vegeta himself seemed caught between outrage and bewildered fascination at encountering a being so completely unconcerned with his royal status. The Earth female exhibits remarkable behavioral deviation from standard respect protocols, he finally observed, addressing Kakarot rather than Launch directly. Her psychological profile includes authority rejection as fundamental personality component, Kakarot confirmed. Tactically advantageous in security assessment roles. And other roles, Launch added with suggestive wink that a cetually produced visible color in Vegeta's royal complexion. This unexpected interaction was interrupted as Chi-Chi efficiently redirected focus to priority matters. The command center has prepared ECU facilities for strategic discussion, she announced, gesturing toward the primary structure. All monitoring systems confirm dimensional stability has been restored to acceptable parameters. As the group moved toward the command center, natural sorting occurred, Vegeta, Raditz, Nappa and Kakarot forming a Saiyan contingent, while Bulma, Chi-Chi, Launch, and Zangyu created a secondary group maintaining professional distance. Inside the secure strategic chamber, Kakarot formally presented all evidence regarding Frieza's destruction of planet Vegeta, information obtained through the Dragon Ball Wish. Subsequent research into cosmic hierarchies, and corroborating data from captured Cold Empire communications. The evidence appears conclusive, Vegeta acknowledged after thorough review. Rieza deliberately destroyed our homeworld, betraying the Empire's supposed alliance with Saiyan warriors. Treacherous bastard, Nappa growled, his massive fists clenching with barely contained rage. After all the planets we conquered in his name. The strategic implications extend beyond emotional response, Kakarot noted with characteristic analytical detachment. Our status as fugitive TS rather than authorized conquest agents alters potential approach options. Explain, Vegeta commanded, recognizing the tactical assessment underlying Kakarot's statement. As authorized agents, our activities would be monitored through standard Empire protocols, Kakarot elaborated. As fugitive assets presumed eliminated, our movements remain untracked. Strategic surprise becomes viable approach vector. Raditz nodded in understanding. He doesn't know we know. And he doesn't know we're gathering in significant numbers. 4 Saiyans hardly constitutes significant military force against Frieza's empire. Vegeta countered realistically. Even with our combined power levels, direct confrontation remains tactically non-viable. Direct confrontation represents inefficient approach vector, Kakarot agreed. Asymmetric strategies utilizing unique capabilities provide superior success probability. You mean guerrilla warfare against an galactic empire? Nappa scoffed. Saiyans are conquerors, not insurgents. Saiyans are survivors, Kakarot corrected with unexpected intensity. Adapting tactical approach to circumstance represents evolutionary advantage, not weakness. This framing resonated with the warrior pragmatism underlying Saiyan psychology. Even Vegeta nodded slightly in acknowledgement of the logical assessment. Earth provides suitable base for operations against Frieza's empire, Kakarot continued, displaying strategic projections on the command center's main screen. Remote location outside primary trade routes ensures minimal Imperial monitoring. Technological development trajectory suggests viable support capabilities within accelerated timeline. You propose using this backwater planet as headquarters for anti-Frieza operations? Vegeta questioned skeptically. I propose utilizing established territorial control, indigenous resource base, and cosmic nexus positioning as foundation for strategic campaign, Kakarot clarified. Efficient resource alloca. Tian requires leveraging existing assets rather than unnecessary conquest expenditure. The pragmatic logic of this approach proved difficult to dismiss, even for Saiyan's conditioned to prioritize conquest over alliance. Vegeta studied the strategic projections with calculating assessment rather than immediate rejection. Your empire here appears adequately established, the prince finally acknowledged. Though certain cultural elements require adjustment for proper Saiyan protocols, cultural integration remains in progress, Kakarot agreed diplomatically. As the Saiyans continued strategic discussion, Bulma coordinated with her scientific team to prepare comprehensive briefing on Earth's technological capabilities and development trajectory. Chi-Chi meanwhile organized security protocols appropriate for visiting Saiyan dignitaries, a diplomatic designation that represented significant evolution in Kakarot's governance approach. I never thought I'd see you hosting a royal delegation, Bulma remarked quietly to Kakarot during momentary break in strategic planning. Especially not Saiyan royalty you might have been expected to conquer for. Tactical adaptation to changing circumstances. He replied with standard analytical framing, though something in his expression suggested recognition of the irony. Optimal approach vector shifted from conquest to alliance. You've come a long way from the demon boy of Mount Paozu, she observed with hint of something like pride. Almost diplomatic. Almost, he acknowledged with rare hint of self-awareness. The Strategic Council extended through Earth's night and into dawn as the four surviving Saiyans assessed options against Frieza's empire. Despite cultural differences and status hierarchies, common purpose emerged through shared understanding of their species' near extinction and the responsibility that placed on survivors. By morning, preliminary agreement had formed around key strategic principles. Earth would serve as headquarters for anti-Frieza operations, with Kakarot's established protectorate providing foundation for necessary resource development. Vegeta, as royal heir, would maintain theoretical authority over Saiyan activities while acknowledging Kakarot's established territorial control of Earth itself, a compromise that satisfied hierarchical requirements while recognizing practical realities. As formal council concluded, the Saiyans emerged from the command center to find Earth's dawn illuminating a landscape that represented both battlefield and potential future. The dimensional rifts had fully sealed, reality stabilizing into normal parameters after the cosmic recalibration performed in the furnace realm. Standing somewhat apart from the others, Kakarot surveyed what had evolved from his original conquest mission, a hybrid empire neither fully Saiyan nor human. Neither the subjugated territory his programming had intended nor the free world that might have existed without his arrival. Chi-Chi approached with characteristic directness, standing beside him as they observed dawn breaking over the Protectorate's primary defensive perimeter. You're considering your path, she observed. From infant conqueror to something else entirely. Strategic assessment of mission parameters, he corrected automatically, though without his former dismissiveness. Call it whatever terminology fits your comfort. She replied with hint of smile. The outcome remains the same. You've evolved beyond your programming. Kakarot considered this assessment with uncharacteristic introspection. Original parameters presumed false context. Mission based on Frieza's deception rather than actual Saiyan interests. Tactical adaptation was necessary and logical. And yet that adaptation created Someth. Neither Frieza nor your POD's programming could have anticipated, Chi-Chi noted. A Saiyan who protects rather than simply conquers. A warrior who builds rather than merely destroys. Protection serves strategic interests, Kakarot maintained, though his tone lacked former conviction. Building represents efficient resource development. Chi-Chi's expression suggested she recognized the rationalization for what it was, not deliberate deception but psychological framework allowing adaptation without identity crisis. Of course, purely tactical considerations. Before their conversation could continue, they were joined by Bulma, whose expression combined scientific fascination with strategic calculation. The readings from the dimensional recalibration are extraordinary, she reported, displaying data on her tablet. The energy signatures suggest potential applications beyond anything in current theoretical models. Applications with potential relevance to anti-Frieza operations. Kakarot inquired, immediately focusing on strategic implications. Potentially game-changing applications, Bulma confirmed. If Saiyan transformation energy can be harmonized with certain technological interfaces, we might develop interdimensional capabilities beyond conventional space-time limitations. Weaponizing our cosmic maintenance function against Frieza, Kakarot observed with appreciation for the irony. Efficient repurposing of biological design parameters. Their discussion was interrupted as Zangya approached, her expression suggesting professional assessment rather than casual conversation. I've completed analysis of the Red Ribbon Army's dimensional aperture device, she reported. Primitive but innovative approach to interdimensional energy harvesting. With appropriate modifications, similar principles could be applied to communication systems capable of monitoring Frieza's empire without conventional detection risks. You're proposing interdimensional surveillance? Bulma questioned, immediately grasping the tactical implications. Observation without physical presence. The Heron race has utilized similar principles for generations, Zangya confirmed. Though our methods differ from what Earth technology might implement, complementary approaches could yield superior results than either tradition alone. The conversation expanded as Raditz joined their group, his expression revealing genuine curiosity rather than the dismissive arrogance that characterized many Saiyan interactions with non-Saiyan species. This cosmic guardian business, he began somewhat awkwardly. If there's actual strategic advantage in reclaiming that function, what specific capabilities might develop beyond standard Saiyan combat parameters? The question revealed significant NT evolution in perspective, consideration of possibilities beyond conquest alone, recognition of potential that transcended conventional warrior limitations. The ancient texts describe abilities beyond physical combat, Chi-Chi offered. Drawing from her scholarly knowledge of mystical traditions, dimensional perception across realms, energy manipulation beyond conventional key techniques, Potenti. Al transformation states beyond Uzaru form. Transformation beyond Uzaru, Raditz repeated with evident interest. No such capability exists in recorded Saiyan history. Because your species A-band won its original purpose before fully developing evolved capabilities, came Annan's voice as she materialized beside them, apparently capable of manifestation beyond the furnace realm when cosmic parameters permitted. What you know as Uzaru transformation represents merely the first stage in potential evolutionary progression. This revelation captured immediate attention from all present, Eve N drawing Vegeta and Nappa from their separate conversation toward this unexpected development. What other transformation stages exist? Vegeta demanded, royal authority evident in his tone despite a de-dressing a cosmic entity of Annan's significance. That knowledge remains sealed within Saiyan genetic potential, Annan replied cryptically. Accessible through reconnection with original cosmic purpose rather than external instruction. The path requires choice, not merely information. Though visibly frustrated by this non-specific answer, Vegeta's tactical mind clearly recognized the potential significance. And these hypothetical evolved capabilities would provide strategic advantages against Frieza's forces. They would provide capabilities outside conventional combat parameters, Annan confirmed. Whether that translates to strategic advantage depends on implementation approach. The conversation might have continued in this philosophical direction, but was interrupted by Blonde La Uncha's characteristically direct intervention. All this cosmic discussion is fascinating, she declared with minimal sincerity, but if we're seriously establishing Anti-Frieza headquarters here, practical considerations take priority. Security systems need complete reconfiguration for potential space-based threats. My criminal network can begin acquiring necessary components immediately. Criminal network? Nappa questioned with mixture of confusion and disapproval. Earth's underground resource acquisition specialists, Kakarot translated diplomatically. Launch coordinates non-standard PR. Procurement channels for materials unavailable through conventional means. I steal stuff and know people who steal better stuff, Launch clarified with wicked grin. Essential services for any proper resistance movement. Your species contains remarkable diversity in specialized functions, Raditz observed with surprising insight. Perhaps more useful than standard conquest protocols would have recognized. This assessment represented significant evolution in traditional Saiyan perspective, recognition of value beyond simple subjugation, appreciation for specialized capabilities rather than mere power hierarchy. As discussion expanded to include practical implementation of Anti-Frieza headquarters establishment, natural groupings formed among the assembled participants. Bulma, Zangya and R. Raditz focused on technological applications of interdimensional principles. Chi-Chi, Vegeta and Anan discussed historical context of Saiyan cosmic functions. Launch and Nappa, despite apparent personality conflicts, found common ground in security system development against potential Imperial infiltration. Observing these interactions, Kakarot experienced something approaching satisfaction, not me. Rely tactical approval of efficient collaboration, but deeper recognition of evolutionary potential emerging from circumstances that diverged dramatically from his original programming. As Earth's morning progressed, the temporary command center transformed into planning headquarters for what would become multi-species resistance against Frieza's empire. Territorial maps expanded to include galactic positioning. Earth-based technology assessments incorporated potential integration with Saiyan, Heron, and interdimensional principles. Security protocols evolved to address threats beyond planetary parameters. Through this transformation, the female personalities who had influenced Kakarot's evolution from programmed conqueror to strategic emperor demonstrated their distinctive contributions to the emerging coalition. Bulma's scientific genius provided technological foundation for operations beyond Earth's conventional capabilities, her adaptability transforming alien concepts into implementable engineering. Her relationship with Kakarot had evolved from initial terror to research partnership to something approaching genuine respect, perhaps the closest the Saiyan came to friendship as humans understood the concept. Chi-Chi's disciplined warrior spirit combined with scholarly understanding of cosmic principles made her natural liaison between practical combat requirements and metaphysical considerations. Her interaction with Kakarot had progressed from martial respect to strategic alliance to unacknowledged emotional connection that manifested through professional collaboration rather than conventional romance. Launch's dual nature continued providing complementary capabilities, her blue-haired self managing organizational logistics with gentle efficiency, while her blonde persona established underground resource networks essential for operations outside Imperial monitoring systems. Her relationship with Kakarot remained perhaps the most direct of any, challenging his authority through security system testing while respecting his strategic vision through practical implementation. Zangya, newest addition to this unusual coalition, contributed interdimensional expertise. Developed through centuries of Heron experience navigating cosmic boundaries, her initial vendetta against Saiyans had evolved into pragmatic alliance against common enemy, recognition that historical grievances paled compared to Frieza's existential threat to multiple species. As planning progressed through Earth's day and into evening, Kakarot found moment of unexpected solitude on the command center's observation deck. The landscape below represented his established empire, territory conquered not through mindless destruction as his programming had intended, but through strategic development that preserved valuable resources while establishing unquestioned authority. Contemplating your unexpected path, came Anan's voice as the cosmic guardian materialized beside him, her flame hair saws ting warm illumination in the gathering dusk. Assessing strategic positioning for optimal resource allocation, Kakarot corrected automatically, maintaining his analytical framing despite growing self-awareness. Anan's expression suggested she recognized this psychological mechanism without feeling need to challenge it directly. Of course, purely tactical considerations. After moment of silence, Kakarot spoke with uncharacteristic directness. The original programming contained no parameters for this outcome. Conquest without destruction, alliance without subjugation, purpose beyond mission parameters. Evolution rarely follows predetermined pathways, Anan observed, particularly when multiple influential factors converge simultaneously. Influential factors, Kakarot repeated, his gaze shifting briefly toward the command center where his unlikely allies continued developing resistance strategies. You refer to the human females who altered standard conquest approach, and the Heron warrior whose vengeance transformed to alliance, Anan added. And now your fellow Saiyans whose presence completes evolutionary catalyst through shared heritage recognition. Kakarot consider. Ed this assessment with analytical precision that nonetheless contain traces of genuine introspection. My original purpose was conquest. Current parameters suggest protection instead. Tactical adaptation or fundamental transformation. Does the distinction matter if the outcome serves your evolved objectives? Anon countered. You speak in tactical terminology while implementing what others might call moral evolution. The linguistic framework matters less than practical implementation. This perspective resonated with Kakarot's pragmatic approach, focus on results rather than philosophical categorization. Emphasis on functional outcome over theoretical definition. The mission parameters have changed, he acknowledged finally. Earth represents foundation rather than target. Protection serves strategic interests more effectively than conquest would have. A tactically sound assessment, Anon confirmed with hint of something like approval. Though perhaps incomplete in recognizing all factors influencing the evolutionary process. Before Kakarot could respond to this cryptic observation, Chi-Chi emerged onto the observation deck, her expression suggesting important developments rather than casual interruption. Vegeta has formally proposed alliance structure between Saiyan royal authority and Earth Protectorate leadership, she reported. The framework acknowledges your established territorial control while integrating traditional Saiyan hierarchical requirements. Practical compromise serving mutual strategic interests, Kakarot assessed approvingly. Vegeta demonstrated Atesh unexpected adaptability for royal elite. Perhaps not so unexpected, Chi-Chi suggested with hint of insight. Launch appears to have made quite an impression on Saiyan royal psychology. Her calm, complete disregard for his status seems to both infuriate and fascinate him simultaneously. This observation produced what might have been the closest thing to genuine amusement Kakarot had demonstrated since establishing his empire. Launch's psychological impact on authority structures remains consistently disruptive across species boundaries. As they return to the command center to formalize alliance parameters, the evolutionary path that had transformed Kakarot from programmed conqueror to strategic emperor reached new inflection point. The Saiyan protectorate that had begun as territoria, conquest evolved into foundation for multi-species resistance against galactic tyranny, not through sudden moral awakening, but through progressive adaptation to changing circumstances and influential relationships. The formal alliance ceremony, conducted according to hybrid protocols that respected both Saiyan tradition and Earth diplomatic requirements, established framework for what would become known as the Cosmic Preservation Coalition, an organization founded on principles that transcended simple conquest to address existential threats against multiple species and dimensional stability itself. Vegeta, maintaining royal dignity while adapting to unprecedented circumstances, acknowledged Kakarot's established authority over Earth territories while asserting theoretical Saiyan hierarchy. Cal preeminence in broader coalition structure. The compromise satisfied status requirements while recognizing practical power distribution. The Saiyan race stands at evolutionary crossroads, Vegeta declared during formal alliance ratification. Our traditional purpose as conquerors served Frieza's interests rather than our own. Strategic reassessment suggests alternative approach vectors may yield superior outcomes for species survival and eventual dominance. This carefully worded declaration represented remarkable evolution in royal perspective, framing cooperation as strategic advantage rather than compromised principle. Presenting alliance as tactical evolution rather than philosophical transformation. As formal proceedings concluded, the expanded coalition leadership gathered to Finn Ali's initial strategic directives for anti-Frieza operations. Technological development priorities established interdimensional communication capabilities as primary objective, followed by enhanced defensive systems against potential Imperial detection. Throughout these proceedings, the relationships that had shaped Kakarot's evolutionary path demonstrated their continued influence on coalition development. Bulma's technological genius provided practical implementation pathways for theoretical concepts. Chi-Chi's disciplined organization established operational protocols that balanced Saiyan aggression with human strategic planning. Launch's dual nature contributed both administrative efficiency and unconventional resource acquisition. Zhangya's interdimensional expertise expanded operatio null parameters beyond conventional space-time limitations. As Earth's night deepened around the command center, stars visible through observation windows represented not merely distant celestial body, but potential battlegrounds in coming conflict with Frieza's empire. The scope of operations had expanded from planetary conquest to galactic resistance, a transformation that reflected Kakarot's own evolutionary path from program destroyer to strategic leader. In private council following formal proceedings, Kakarot addressed the 4 women who had most significantly influenced his developmental trajectory. Though framed in tactical terminology, his acknowledgement represented perhaps the closest approximation to emotional recognition his psychology permitted. Your distinctive capabilities have contributed significantly to strategic evolution beyond original parameters, he stated with uncharacteristic directness. Bulma's technological innovation, Chi-Chi's disciplined organization, launches dual-function adaptability, and Zhangya's interdimensional expertise, each representing specialized contribution that enhanced operational effectiveness beyond standard conquest protocols. Coming from Kakarot, this constituted profound recognition of their individual and collective influence on his development. The women exchanged glances that suggested they understood the significance beneath his analytical framing. "Just doing our jobs," Launch replied with characteristic directness, though her expression suggested deeper understanding of what remained unspoken. "Someone had to make sure you didn't just blow everything up before figuring out better options. Your strategic vision evolved beyond conventional parameters," Chi-Chi added more diplomatically. "We merely provided implementation pathways for capabilities already present in your approach, though perhaps accelerated certain developmental processes that might otherwise have required additional time frames," Bulma Su gestured with scientific precision that nonetheless conveyed emotional understanding. "Strategic adaptation recognizes valuable resources rather than destroying potential assets," Zhangya contributed, centuries of experience evident in her perspective. Evolutionary advantage rather than compromised principle. This exchange, though framed in terminology consistent with Kakarot's psychological framework, represented significant interpersonal recognition beyond tactical assessment. Without explicitly acknowledging emotional development, all participants recognized the transformative relationships that had emerged through their unlikely alliance. As coalition planning continued into Earth's night, the foundations established represented dramatic deviation from Kakarot's original programming. The conquest of Earth had been terminated not through defeat but evolution, transformation of purpose from mindless destruction to strategic development, from isolated conqueror to coalition leader. The empire he had established bore little resemblance to what his POD's initial programming had intended. Instead of subjugated wasteland prepared for imperial acquisition, Earth had become headquarters for resistance against that very empire. Instead of mindless destroyer, Kakarot had evolved into strategic emperor whose protection served both planetary interests and broader cosmic stability. Not good, perhaps. Moral transformation remained beyond his psychological framework, but something more complex than the weapon Frieza had intended. A conqueror who chose protection over destruction. A warrior who recognized value beyond simple dominance. A program tool who developed purpose beyond original parameters. As dawn approached on what would become the first official day of the Cosmic Preservation Coalition, Kakarot stood alone on the command center's highest observation point. Below, his unlikely empire prepared for evolution beyond planetary boundaries to challenge galactic tyranny. Above, stars represented not conquest targets but potential allies in coming resistance against Frieza's oppression. The path from infant destroyer to strategic emperor had followed no predetermined trajectory. Influenced by unexpected relationships, altered by revelations about his species' true purpose, transformed through progressive adaptation to changing circumstances, Kakarot had become something neither Frieza's programming nor his own initial parameters had anticipated. Earth would not be conquered in traditional sense. Instead, it would serve as foundation for something more significant than simple territorial acquisition, headquarters for coalition that might eventually challenge the tyrant who had nearly exterminated the Saiyan race. Not the hero Goku might have been in another timeline, but neither the mindless destroyer Frieza had intended. Something unique had emerged in the space between programming and potential, a conqueror who chose his own path, a destroyer who found reason to protect. A weapon who developed purpose beyond original design. Not turned good, perhaps, but no longer merely what he was programmed to be. The conquest of Earth had indeed been terminated. What would follow might reshape not just one planet, but the fundamental power structure of the galaxy itself. Blank, underscore, blank. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.